Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith. The Ground Report, the Ground Report.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin.
The Ground Report, the Ground Report.
I would think that there's been very clear that all the employees of Petrotrin will exit the company. All.
The Ground Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
This season of Lent, get more options from Royal Castle with their 3 tasty meal specials. Meals made with the freshest fish, seasoned with the Castle's appetizing Trini ingredients and cooked to golden perfection. Choose from the fish combo, 2 succulent pieces of fish, 1 side and a 16-ounce soft drink, or the fish sandwich combo of a tender, tasty sandwich, 1 side and a 16-ounce soft drink, or even a flavorful veggie combo option of a sandwich, a side and a 16-ounce soft drink. Get more options from Royal Castle. Our culture, our taste for Lent.
The 13 Frederick Street, Port of Spain. So you're looking for the best prices in gaming products? Come on down and visit Sheltec Electronics, the gamer's paradise. Get the latest PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch system. Games and accessories. Apple Stream, Roblox cards. Available. Daily clearance items up to 70% off. Pre-order new releases and save 15%. Come on, visit us online at sheltechelectronics.com. Cash in on the bargain. Sheltec Electronics, 11 to 13 Frederick Street, Port of Spain, 627-3757. Cash in on those bargains now.
That's the sound of your car or truck. That's the sound of your horn. Get in here with an auto loan. RBC makes it easy to get your own.
Get in gear with an RBC auto loan with 0 down, longer repayment terms, and low interest rates. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/gearup. Conditions apply.
That's the sound of your car or truck. That's the sound of your horn. Get in here with an auto loan. RBC makes it easy to get your own.
Drink that's transforming what you expect from a beverage. U-Juice is 100% natural and has the power of red ginseng, turmeric, ginger, and the world's strongest antioxidant, astaxanthin. Your new favorite drink has arrived. U-Juice, en route to the ultimate you.
U-Juice. And when me drink, we got a natural boost.
Taking over Uptown Port of Spain at London 868 Ultra Lounge.
Push us, cause we're close to the end.
Saturday, 6th of May, we take you to Club London. Ladies, get listed to enter free before 11 p.m. Enjoy complimentary wine. Men, you also pay half price before 11 p.m. Welcome back to Club Life. But you must be listed. To get your name on the list, send a message to 732-6849. Club Life is back. We party in a sexy ambience with music that never gets old. So dress to impress and let's party like there's no tomorrow. Club Life is you. Brought to you courtesy More FM 104.7 and DMTV America. Hold up. Bringing clubbing back to life in Uptown Port of Spain. Club Life is back at London 868 Ultra Lounge.
Shiny and Ari Restaurant, number 67, Western Main Road, Gym, opposite Standard. For breakfast daily, Monday to Sunday, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. On the menu, sada roti, Friday, roast beef, pie, coffee, tea, Milo, vegetable pizza, pancakes with assorted vegetables. Lunch specials daily from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Chicken pilau, $25. Assorted lunch from $25 to $40. Soup specials and crab and dumpling. Delivery of food available. De la la carte on the pavement from 6 p.m. until burgers, chicken sandwich, hot dog, fries and chicken, nuggets, shrimp burger, gyros, and anything else you can think about. Call 382-9347 to place your orders 7 days a week.
Arima, the Jubei Cooler Experience. Arima, Sunday, 18th June 2023. Arima, your robe is your ticket.
More 104.7, the official station for Arimas.
Trinity Lighting, 123 Western Main Road, St. James. Special on LED bulbs. Purchase 4 LED bulbs for $100, get 2 free. Trinity, they stock a wide variety of electrical supplies and specialize in light bulbs and parts for all your residential, commercial, marine, and medical fixtures. Remember, buy 4 LED bulbs for $100, get 2 free. 628-8373 or 622-6935. Check them out on Facebook, Trinity Lighting ETC Ltd, or shop online at trinityetc.com. In the Miami area, contact them at 305-354-2033 or 305-932-0727. Remember, Trinity Lighting welcomes you to their main store, 123 Western Main, St. James.
Are you disappointed by astrologers and pundits? Then meet third-generational Pandit Narasimha. He uses traditional methods and gives solutions in problems like marriage, relationship, love, business, job, health, and removes all negativity, black magic, bad luck permanently. Specialist in reuniting with your ex. Call Pandit Narasimha 359-3939. That's 359-3939.
Welcome to M&M Pharmacy. Strategically located next to Eastside Supermarket in San Chiquito, Sangre Grande. For all your healthcare needs and much more, M&M Pharmacy will give you customer service like no other. Your health is your wealth.
That's right. Hunty's Fast Food and Catering Service is here to serve all their customers. We cater for weddings, functions, birthday parties, fetes, all-inclusive events, and more. And coming soon to shelves and supermarkets nationwide, their succulent garlic sauce, pepper sauce, and honey mustard.
What you do when you're feeling hungry? I don't know about you, but I love my Hunties. Yeah, what fries with crispy wings?
Yes, please.
Breastbone, yeah, dicey thing.
Yes, please.
My brother, my mother, and my auntie, all them love to eat his Hunties. Yeah, what fries with crispy wings?
Yes, please.
Breastbone, yeah, dicey thing.
Yes, please. Get in on the most delicious menu at Hunties. 3 locations nationwide. 113 Old St. Joseph Road, corner of Church Street in Laventille. Number 1, Cipriani Street in Movo. And our newest location, 11th Street and 6th Avenue in Barataria. Open 7 days a week. Are you hungry? Then call us up 229-0812. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Hunties Fast Food and Catering. Hunties, where the food is always delicious.
Everybody's idea of home is different. So every mortgage should be unique, shaped around you, flexible to move and change as you do. RBC will come to you to get you started and stay by your side to help guide you every step of the way. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/home story and start your story today. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at RBC Caribbean.
Sell-Off Promotions and Beats by Robin present Mix Up Colors. Sunday, 2nd July at the River Ranch Arena. Stay tuned for more info.
Green Dot continues to deliver internet connectivity to a wide range of communities in Trinidad. With our combination fiber and wireless network, you get the service you need wherever you live. Stream your favorite shows, enjoy online tuition, stay in touch with your work team, and connect with friends and family with internet service at a price you can afford. As communities continue to grow, we continue to deliver. Call 224-GDOT or visit gd.tt today. Green Dot, improving and simplifying lives.
Looking to complete your home or business project? Well, the place is Michelin Hardware. We carry a large selection of roofing and plumbing supply, lumber, steel, water tanks, tools, and more. Get your sand, gravel, sand filled by the bag, yard or load. No one beats our prices. Visit us at M&R Building, number 97, Eastern Main Road, Aruka, or call 646-2144. WhatsApp 327-7761. Michelin Hardware.
What goes in is a local something that makes it all taste better. It's the flavor of our culture. Come from here, come from there, and everywhere. It's the special flavor that's made us savor and the royal class.
Ground
Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Disclaimer. More FM Limited, its owners and associates, accepts no responsibility for statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests. More FM Limited does not endorse any of the information provided during this commercially booked segment as the truth. That you have to judge for yourself. We, however, reserve the right to question statements made. But in this time of misinformation, government-controlled media, and corruption, it is sometimes hard to get the truth. But we must try. It is not our intention to discriminate or annoy anyone. We believe it is our constitutional right to free speech, to voice our opinion, and our duty to the population and country to expose the truth. More FM Limited takes no responsibility for the opinions of others.
6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Join Andy Williams, Michael Kerr, and Lennox Smith, the Ground Report team on M1047 as they rip apart the lies, half-truth, and misinformation that the mainstream media never discuss. The Ground Report. Hard-hitting, informative, undiluted, uncompromising, and unfiltered. Monday to Friday on M104.7 FM. Get the raw facts before making any life-changing decisions. Only on The Ground Report.
Yes, indeed. President, good morning to all and sundry. Yes, you caught us napping there. But of course, you know, these things happen. You know, Murphy's Law. When something has to go wrong, it will at the worst possible time. But yes, indeed, of course, welcome to the Friday edition of the Ground Report. Of course, yours truly, Lennox Smith, at the wheels, so to speak, at this time. Andy is expected to join us momentarily. But that being as it may, of course, very troubling developments are taking place in Trinidad and Tobago, and the chaos and, of course, the deception, hoodwinking, incompetence, charlatanism, and all of the ingredients of a rapidly developing failed state seem to be the order of the day. Clearly, by individuals who have lost their way, they have demonstrated, as Heinz would like to say, criminalistic or criminalistic behavior. Of course, he must know, he being, of course, a part of this, clearly, marooned bunch of opportunistic political parasites who will spare no opportunity to absolve themselves when, of course, they are in sticky waters, and then, of course, are very present to take all credit when things are on the upswing. So we understand the vicissitudes of this administration. They take credit where, of course, things are in their political favor, and when, of course, it is not, as every human being and every situation and or institution, there is an evolution of course, this disappointment. There is also, of course, the whole question of making extraordinary sacrifices. But at the end of the day, when, of course, success is achieved due to hard work and perseverance, then one expects that that would be the case. But this administration appears to only want to engage in success stories, but not putting in the relevant inputs in order to have that kind of outcome and or of course result. So we know the latest, of course, is the spat. The judiciary has been forced to issue a statement, very strong concerns that they would have had with respect. And I was just viewing it just before I came on, where, of course, Hines has said that the criminal elements in the society have friends in the judiciary. That's a very strong statement indeed. I mean, among other places, he talked about customs and other places and so on. But the judiciary find it disingenuous and wholly and solely impugning the integrity of that particular institution. But more significantly, Hines believing that he can infringe the very sacred, the very cloistered, if I would say, and revere this position of the separation of powers. That is to say, the government or the executive or the cabinet has its role to play. The legislature has its role to play. One cannot, of course, tell the other what to do. And of course, out of respect for each other's role, because each role are distinct and separate. And then, of course, you have the judiciary, quite apart from we in the as the fourth pillar of this democratic independent process. I'm talking about the media that is considered to be the fourth estate, so to speak, in that context. So we have, of course, Hines making the most callous, most rambunctious, most puerile, most irrational, most reckless statements that any national security minister can make, and of course getting the ire or the wrath of the and attention of the judiciary, and of course, and they have seen it, as we have been saying all the time, that this administration, with its tenuous majority, first and foremost, that is very important, because one will want to know where that apparent authority was derived from. Well, it has been derived from, of course, a questionable electoral process in 2015 and in 2020, where this group of individuals, part of a party, a political organization called the PNM, that has clearly morphed into a criminal enterprise, and I say so without reservation or contradiction. And I'm prepared to debate Hines and any one of them on these particular matters. But of course, we have that brewing situation, in spite of the deficiencies, in spite of the shortcomings, clearly. To make a blanket statement by a national security minister, a member of the sitting executive, the government, to say that criminal elements have friends in the judiciary, I think is unbecoming, and it appears that there is a collective malaise of injudicious utterances that clearly will not contribute to the advancement and the addressing of the multiple and multidimensional problems of the country, and clearly another case for calling an immediate election, not just early elections, but immediate elections. But we know that because of the criminalistic and criminologistic nature of this administration, that will not happen soon, because they believe that somehow they can remain there and have us pay them to do us evil and the society in general. That being as it may, let me get on to the specifics of this particular development. Well, the statement of Mr. Hines and the fact that Dr. Rowley yesterday made some additional statements suggesting, as he has done in the past, we saw it, of course, when he denied any involvement and his insertion into the police service Commission's shortlist. So we know his modus operandi, and nothing strange. And then, of course, his denial his denial and continue, I believe, denial with respect, of course, to he and the cabinet not knowing anything about the Vincent Nelson matter. Of course, one has to recognize that as soon as that matter was brought to the public domain, the denials were concomitant with a particular pattern of this administration, so that the indemnity matter, clearly he denied at that point in time it coming to him or the cabinet of the country, but yet still a man got $10 million for the production of that, what I consider to be false accusation against, of course, a former UNC entity, if you want to call it that, operative. I talk about Alan Ramlogan, well, two of them, and of course Ramdeen. So we know that it was politically targeted, but then again, we have to look at what Gary Griffith, the man who was in the hot seat and former Commissioner of Police, has said that he was given $40 million. Dr. Rowley has not denied it, neither the Minister of National Security, to hound down, to harass members of the opposition. So that is pellucidly clear. And of course, the claims that they are making, both of them, both the Minister of National Security and that of Dr. Rowley, that it had nothing to do with the operation of the police service, the operational arm of the police service. Well, of course, there is pellucid and very cogent and very potent as well evidence to the contrary, because Dr. Rowley will have to explain at a very public place to the whole world as to why he saw it fit, after the police would have made their determination and would have returned, of course, something like what, $24 million to the to that particular enterprise called the Drug Susu. And he said in a very public, as public as you can be, in a PNM, of course, exercise of the party, stated that he would, of course, use his office as Minister of National, as the head of the National Security Council, to employ or deploy detectives from Barbados and the UK. Let me repeat that. All the claim and the hogwash that is being bandied about, that the government does not involve itself in the operations of the police, is belied, denied, and of course to the contrary, when of course one looks at the fact that Dr. Rowley, in his disapprobation, his disappointment, his disapproval of the operations of the police, literally took over the role of Commissioner of Police and decided that he will use our money through the vote of the Prime Minister to deploy, employ, hire detectives from the UK and Barbados. You must not forget that, unless, of course, you do an injustice not only to yourself and the society and our children and the future of Trinidad and Tobago, but the country as a whole. And therefore, we must not allow them to get away with that kind of hogwash and that kind of public deception and believe that they can, of course, say one thing, act in a particular way, and when, of course, the circumstances doesn't suit them, and that they are bombarded with all kinds of criticisms, usually of a negative nature, they then, of course, try to ingratiate themselves and try, of course, to pretend to be victims of the very thing that they would have instituted. Let us get it clear. It was Dr. Rowley who said in no uncertain terms that he was not satisfied with the investigation of the police with respect to the Drug Susu initial and the return of those funds, and therefore decided in a PNM function, and claiming that he is head of National Security Council and would now deploy detectives from Barbados and Britain. But it gets worse, people, because, of course, in addition to that, he then, of course, tells us in no uncertain terms that, of course, he would be engaging and have in fact engaged in the hiring of retired police officers to investigate the police itself. Understand that, people. He hired 2 prior or retired police officers to investigate the police in the context of his disquiet about the issuance of firearms license. Let us not waste time with these miscreants that will come with a straight face, having done all of these iniquities. And mind you, why that was not a matter subjected to Gary Griffith's judicial review, and wanting any consequence of that investigation launched by Rowley, the Prime Minister of the country, who is now claiming that he has nothing to do, both he and the National Security Minister has nothing to do with the operations of the police service, initiated that investigation, and Gary Griffith had to go to court in order for the court to agree that any report coming out of that investigation launched by Dr. Rowley, claiming to be head of the National Security Council and therefore some kind of police, and hired guns, so to speak, cannot be laid in the parliament of the country, and of course specify where it can be, of course, referred to. But what is important is the judge's obiter dicta. You know, just as how the Privy Council would say that it is disquieting that a country that needs money will take Malcolm Jones' matter out of the court. And of course, we know that Dr. Rowley said in non-certain terms that is his friend, and that he has done more than anybody else in the world, and therefore he could have spent those billions of dollars just so and not account for it. That is what we are dealing with, people in the highest executive offices in the land. So understand clearly and pellucidly, Dr. Rowley and they are not to be trusted. They are not to be listened to. And they should be laughed at and scorned at. The animosity that we must engage in and psychologically prepare ourselves must be one of a superlative nature, the highest amount of anathema that we could express individually and collectively towards this bunch of incompetent miscreants is unlimited as far as I am concerned. So he goes, of course, and engage in that particular exercise of investigating the police themselves, and the obiter dicta, not the ratio decidendi. The ratio decidendi in a judicial context refers to the reason for a decision, but courts and judges have the laxity, the freedom to, of course, make comments that may not be part of the substantive matter that was before them, on which adjudication must take place. And here what the judge said, that if the matter of Dr. Rowley having the authority to put people together to investigate the police, if that was before him, he would have said that that is totally unacceptable, ultra vires, and ought not to have been entertained at all. Understand that. And Rowley yesterday, and Hines, the buffoon that he is, and of course sometimes appearing to be bipolar and in a perpetual state of what is called narcoleptic influence, narcoleptic, sleepy every minute, sleepy all over the place, narcoleptic. Check the word, Google it, and you will see. And I am telling you now that these people are totally out of their rockers. And as I said, with only 22 seats of 41 seats, and pretending as though they have a landslide and could talk and act and brutalize our resources and the people in this way, is unfathomable. Nowhere in the Commonwealth or anywhere else in dictatorships and so on, you will have a situation where over 500 times people recuse themselves, and Dr. Rowley is comfortable with that. No moral compunction, no moral and ethical compassion or consideration that is wrong, that it is absolutely and totally wrong. I mean, come on. We have to be able to discern and to once and for all unuse sycophants. And I know that there must be some kind of internecine or internal brewings of a negative nature to see these ne'er-do-wells that have assembled, or put another way, that Rowley has assembled to take over and to infest the PNM, bad as it is, and bad as the records are, and as insidious as previous prime ministers would have been, including Manning. But I think that this fellow Rowley gone past madness of a criminal nature and has put firmly in the consciousness of the people of Trinidad and Tobago a criminal enterprise called the PNM, and it has no limits or boundary, and they seem to be so engulfed in their in their self-serving propensity and tendency that they are totally oblivious as to what the reality is out there. People are laughing at them, and they're laughing at them nationally as well as regionally and internationally. What caused Rowley to say that he had his ticket in his pocket and that it was prior to? Why? Because of the clashing of a double coincidence, and that is to say, the Attorney General in Barbados has asked for an investigation as to the role of the police there in that domain, in that jurisdiction. The one in Trinidad is either silent, and by that silence is condoning what transpired. And then you have a national security minister suggesting that there is some kind of collusion with the criminals as far as the judiciary is concerned. And it's not for the first time. When things do not go their way, they have a propensity to attack any and everything irrationally, as if they have gone totally and absolutely insane. It reminds me of the Latin expression non compos mentis, of unsound mind, people who have occupied the highest office dangerously. We have seen the deterioration of our foreign policy disposition. We have seen the deterioration of Trinidad and Tobago status in the region since Rowley and them came into office. We have seen, of course, conflicts between members of CARICOM from time to time. And of course, we have seen our largest and most powerful, and on which we depend in the region, I'm talking in the hemisphere, the United States. We have seen conflicts all over. And then, of course, we have, without being able to create anything, without being able to generate the paradigm shift that is required in order to respond to our deteriorating circumstance, or at least keep us on even keel, we have seen they have done nothing to improve the economy, to widen, of course, the ability for our GDP to expand. And of course, when something of accidental nature, something of serendipity, such as, of course, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and we got, of course, an increase in the price of a barrel of oil, not being able to even take advantage of that in real terms by increasing production of per barrel, or on the basis of barrel of oil, they come and they take credit for that, and then they move on. I have heard the most spectacularly nonsensical comment by a minister of finance that it cringes. It makes you wonder why it is that you are a Trinidadian, and why the level of embarrassment that these people seem to be having an unlimited capacity for. Now just imagine, he tells us, after taking out so much 3, 4, 5 times and still again, monies from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, and then tell us some time ago that the fund has reverted back to where they met it in 2015. In other words, what Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC diligently built up, because when they came into office in 2010, when the Kamala Persad-Bissessar administration came into government in 2010, the Heritage and Stabilization Fund was half, about 2.5 billion US, to what they left there when Rowley came into office and met 5-point-something billion. And he will tell us, after for the first time on several occasions, depleting that particular fund, that sovereign fund, tell us that it has returned to where it is, and therefore everything is honky-dory. Trying to project that psychology that clearly nobody would accept is an insult to our intelligence. Because a man like me, the first thing I ask, if it has returned to where it was, then just calculate what you took out and add it to where it is now. And you would see that it is far more ought to be in that fund than what you are attempting to project. And it is deliberate. They use semantics. They use circumlocution. They use, of course, equivocality. They use double meanings, and all of that in order to hoodwink the gullible. And I feel sorry for PNM sycophants and persons who are hoping for a different outcome. You had to be a fool or you're mad to, of course, subscribe to or do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. When you listen to Rowley and they come with their new kid on the block, so to speak, and their verbalization and their ambulatory expressions and their cacophonous babblings of rants of total and absolute incompetent mad people, and you then follow them when they have their family day or whatever, and then you go to the polls or you decide to become maybe a canvasser for that party, or worse yet, you decide to become a candidate, and at whatever level. You are doing a disservice to yourself. You are doing a disservice to yourself, your family, immediate, your neighborhood, your community, and national development certainly would be stymied. Why participate in something that clearly, and don't tell me you don't understand, whether you're a sycophant, whether you are a sympathizer, whether you like the party or not. The fact of the matter is that why it is that Rowley at this time will construct a monstrosity that is Balize House or the new Balize House, and then go up to Toko and pretend as though all of the circumstances that caused them to make that decision to construct that monstrosity of some say 600, some say 60, some say $100 million, at a time when you were telling us, coming out of COVID in particular, the belt tighten and things are not going to be nice and so on, and you billing that, and you don't know that people are going to be disappointed, that people are going to be critically negative about that kind of decision making, and you do it at this time, and it's as if, well, look, they could go home and sleep comfortable, and people, I trust that by now, having regarded to all what we have been saying over the last 10 years and the rapidly manifestation of all of them, not Hines, not any member of the cabinet, Young, etc., could sway you other than to confirm that you are in the best place, the right place, when you disregard them, you laugh at them. And then, of course, we have the comparison of time, 10 years thereabout versus 5 years of the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And clearly, all what we have seen under the UNC administration is progress and advancement. All what we have seen under these bunch of not only nincompoops, not only asinine specimen of inhumanity, not only gallery and of course arrogance and contempt and haughtiness, but we have seen a rapid deterioration in every aspect of life. You name one. Just use your conscience and name one. What crime? But you know. What agriculture? Well, you know what the reserves in the country. Well, it was 10 billion when they got there in 2015. It is now around 6 billion, they say, but I believe it is more like 4 billion. Where they said that Sanders was supposed to be a game changer, according to Short Young and according to the Minister of Finance, Imsbert. He said a game changer. It was supposed to bring in people a monumental, a huge $500 million a year in taxes or general benefits to the country. Where is it? And it turns out that again, another faux pas, because Rowley, as opposition leader, invite the people and then of course try to manifest is something like a police officer having charged someone and then looking for evidence. Well, yes, the cart before the horse scenario, and that has been the idiosyncrasy of this administration. This has been stereotypical of this administration in every field. Sports, community development. What? Where? The state enterprises. Where has been any development taking place? You know what is happening now? Rowley has, of course, the Unicut under his wings. At one time, he was scathing. He was excoriating. He was vicious. He was venomous. Called a heart and so on. But then when one relates, when he made the outburst in the parliament, openly, of course, attacking and offensively addressing the question of corruption within the PNM, and of course allocating that to his predecessor, Patrick Manning. He made a very poignant statement that many of you may not have observed, but my training is one that would cause me by default to observe, and that is, why must others sacrifice for a small group of persons? He said that during his attack on the Manning administration. So it is clear to me that he believed quid pro quo, that who works or who is a member of the party or who has brought the party into government, they are the ones ought to benefit and nobody else. Well, we are seeing an example of that. So he saw in others that which is in him. And he yearned to be where he is. Because we know it is public knowledge that he said he didn't want the work. And today, last election in particular, when suggesting once again that that is his last tenure in office, and that the possibility exists that he wouldn't lead the party into an elections. Bram, he said somebody talked to him, and so there's always some mysterious, amorphous, enigmatic scenario, just as the same excuse he made for taking away laptops from our children. He said that some report or some kind of research coming out from UE. Up to now, we can't find it. And that is the nature, and he lies and lies and lies and lies. Last night, of course, on the corridor transformation, I showed where Jusamco, the picture and everything, Jusamco pouring concrete, not in the middle or the current phase of that monstrosity that is being constructed at Balize Grounds, you know. It was when there was no steel at all erected. I'm saying, in other words, on the foundation. So if Jusamco was pouring concrete on the foundation, do you not expect that today they would have played an increasing role coming up the road? And it's the same company that was given the contract to build that portion of the highway that fell into the swamp below. And Rowley tells the leadership and the rank and file of the PNM in Toko that not a single person, that major company that got contracts from state contributed or is contributing to, of course, that monstrosity that is now Balize House under construction. Let us get serious. Let us get serious. And when I look at the developments of Sri Lanka, for example, and then I compare that, of course, with Singapore, as we have often done, in order to get a sense as to what is required and how must we not only adapt and adjust, but wet our own home or our own house called Trinidad and Tobago to avoid the Sri Lankan scenario and to, of course, enhance or gravitate towards the Singapore model. And for a very long time, since I growing up, I've been hearing, of course, the comparison of Trinidad with Singapore, and Trinidad ought to have been the Singapore of the West. And there was only one militating factor, huge as it is, and very expensive in many ways, financial, human resource, etc., is that the PNM has been in office for too long, and as an entity, as a political organization, we have a duty and responsibility to relegate that institution to the dustbin of political history in this country. That is how, that should be the mission. And don't tell me that there is something sacrosanct about the PNM and those and Rowley and they, because we know that they are rank and unadulterated criminals. We know that they are miscreants. We know that they are mendacious, they lie. We know that they are suffering from an acute state, collectively and individually, of what is called mythomania, meaning that they are spontaneous liars. Because I cannot see how Rowley could forget that Jusamco poured concrete for the foundation of Balize House and comes up there into Toko, and then tell the sycophants and them, and tell, of course, the audience insultingly and disrespectfully, and see them as fools, and trying to generate a kind of ingratiating, but at the same time making them a victim of persons who are making statements, inquiring, interrogating as to where they get the money from. And what Rowley does in his usual typical style. I saw him there as if I was seeing him in the parliament purporting an argument for purported emails that were a figment of his very pernicious, undermining, and nasty imagination, or always for evil purposes and for negative purposes, against, of course, others who maybe not only have a different view, but are much more successful and are much more progressive. But he would want to shoot down that because he wants to stay away where he is and his bunch of opportunistic political people who are incidentally following him like lamb to the slaughter, and they will be slaughtered. I'm not talking literally. I am talking about when the criminal justice system take a turn in their tails at the appropriate time when Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC comes into government. And let me say that one time, I have seen no evidence of what Rowley and they were saying as far as the corruption of the UNC under Kamala Persad-Bissessar is concerned. I've seen none. and where they have adduced, where they have advanced evidence, all of it were fake, as the fake emails. And the latest, of course, one would have thought, all right, finally, Ole gets something, because the so-called cartel, the 5 cartel, and fellas who were, of course, under the UNC getting contracts, ham, lamb, and jam, they were feeding, they were gormandizing, they were greedy. That is what was coming out, and that they went to court with 5 contractors. Those same 5 contractors are getting work under the PNM right now. Right now, Calco among them. And Calco, of course, is the one that has been constructing what is generally and publicly known to be the highway to nowhere. $400 million has been allocated to that. So we know clearly Rowley wanted to be where he is, and therefore undermining was prepared to undermine that, because he wanted to be the head honcho to, of course, distress Trinidad and Tobago. They distress us. And then, of course, under his watch, you have, of course, the evolution of a 1%. And a 1% there does not refer to any particular ethnic group. It refers to all those elements, including, of course, whether it's Tobago or they come from Tobago or otherwise, or is Rowley good friend or friends of the members of the cabinet, because it's 500 times they recruit themselves on that basis. On that basis, all of them who, of course, are eating from the trough of the state, whilst the PNM under Rowley is in government. You know, I say that is the 1%. Has nothing to do with no race and so on. So I don't want to hear that. What I know is that all those who are unmeritoriously and undeservingly and getting more than the fair share and depriving our children of laptops, of meal grant, of cerebral palsy support, those basic things are being deprived from these people for the promotion of the greed and avarice of a PNM administration led by, of course, a very uncanny, ruthless, reckless, brutal, and injurious individual called Keith Christopher Rowley. That's just waste time. Andy, are you there? Yes, indeed, people. So until Andy comes, or until I get the signal that we can of course change from at least my concerns this morning, I thought it was important, of course, to share and to open up the debate and open up the minds. And I dare say I will challenge any one of them. Heinz Penny could talk. All right. I often tell him that no lawyer could have a broader, deeper, wider, and higher vocabulary than our old teacher, especially one that came through, of course, the common entrance, and today the version of that will be, of course, teaching C classes and so on. None of them cannot. He engages, of course, in all kinds of malapropism. Big talk, but nowhere. He engages in of course, what is called circumlocution, roundabout talk right through, and a most pathetic display of semantics. Semantics, playing the bright and utilizing words that clearly pernicious, insidious, and they want to come and talk to people, and they want to attack the judiciary because you can't get your way. And why they're attacking the judiciary is something even more sinister, you know. It's because they cannot put a handle on the crime situation. They don't want to be blamed for the situation with crime. So they don't mind any port for a storm, so long as it appears to sanitize them. But no, Dr. Rowley and Hines and you miscreants, you nincompoops, you indolents, you cannot escape culpability. You said that in 2010 in your manifesto, a commissioner of police is critical for the management and the addressing of crime in the country. You were able to achieve that initially, and like typical people who have been plagued with a curse, you then kick the can down the road by involving yourself, because you don't want, of course, the previous commissioner of police to get back into office possibly, or be considered, or his name come to the parliament. You invent a scheme on two prongs. One, setting up the president of the country, then, and causing, of course, the entire police service commission to resign, because Bliss C. Prasad fell for that trap that you engaged in for self-aggrandizement and maintenance, of course, the evil that the PNM has proven to be at this point in time. That's what you did. That is what transpired, people. And we see it again. Rowley is now telling us that he had a prior engagement to go to Barbados. How convenient. Who listens to that hogwash? He doesn't want it to be known that is as a consequence of what? Of the concerns of the Barbadian, because the Attorney General there, if you read one of their newspapers, I think is the Nation or something like that, you would see it there. And I think Wayne Mark did a very splendid job in, of course, putting the entire thing together. But of course, I did my own investigations and research. And it is a fact. And he is given the impression that he's going there for a holiday, going to play golf, and the likelihood that he may not be in contact with the administration there is real, because he's going there as a private citizen. Come on, what kind of hogwash is? Who he feel he is? Insulting our collective and individual intelligence, and more so what I consider to be the intelligentsia, if there is one, of the PNM itself, outside, of course, of the substantive cabinet, because clearly they have gone clear, whether it's Penelope Beckers, whether it be Robinson Regis, whether it be Hines, and we can go on and on, a bunch of course, uncanny and submissive cowards would not tell Rowley as it is. I am on this station, and of course every night I call him a particular name, and all they don't know that he is avoiding that, as if, of course, like women who want to avoid pregnancy because they know the consequences. He avoiding that, and he will not send a pre-action protocol letter. A little ordinary Laventil fella, he wouldn't send a pre-action protocol letter, nor would he respond. And all you don't know that something is wrong with a man, and all you have that kind of character leading all you to the ultimate detriment of the party itself. And if we allow him as a people outside of the party, no connection with the PNM or whatever, to destroy our country ultimately, every single policy that he has engaged in has been destructive to the country. Foreign policy, agricultural policy, infrastructure policy, all of the policies. And you don't understand yet that that is pernicious, that is osseous, irrelevant, and that we can do better than that. And that we have seen, of course, an administration between 2010 and 2015 that way past by miles the performance of the last 8 years of this administration, And he continues, of course, clearly to have a stranglehold on those who have offered themselves for public service simply because he can determine who must eat and who mustn't eat. And from that basis, you are going to cause Trinidad and Tobago to be destroyed, so that for the few of you, 1.5 million people minus yourselves, that small group, must be destroyed because of the ambition of that man. He caused the cabinet to make a decision to close down Petrotrin because of the situation with the fake oil. It is clear he caused that. He dismissed Al-Rari from the cabinet, but from the office of Attorney General, because he knew what was on the horizon as far as the Vincent Nelson matter is concerned. Ole can't see that. How come Ole can't see that? And of course, he is so public with his culpability that even a blind man could see. A blind man could see that. What rationale can Rowley advance to you when he was up and down the country in and out of PNM functions, indicating and giving references as well, telling us how significant the evidence against Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen is in relation, of course, to Vincent Nelson. And according to him, I'm paraphrasing verbatim, he is a Queen's Counsel. You know who he is? He's a Queen's Counsel. So he's a significant player, a significant person whose integrity cannot be questioned. He was up and down the place saying that. And then, of course, when Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC has found out, got wind of what the travesty and the undermining of the rule of law and the intent to subvert the course of criminal justice, and they brought it out without calling any name. And when he realized that they have the information, not only did he fire Al-Rari, not only that, he went on public fora and saying that he didn't know anything about that, nor the cabinet, how the cabinet could be. But before that, he was up and down the country, even making reference to Abdul Malik, making reference to that, and saying that Pamasa was, of course, a witness in that particular matter for the state, and therefore equating and paralleling that situation with the one with Vincent Nelson. Yeah, he did that. And of course, to you, he believes totally oblivious, totally ignorant here meaning not hasty, but of course lack of knowledge, that you don't bribe a man in a criminal matter to become a witness. You don't bribe, you don't give them, especially it's 10 million and counting. You don't do that. The fear of being persecuted, the fear of being found guilty as complicit in the particular event because of your proximity to the original offense. Usually it's things like murder, as the example that he drew with respect, of course, to Abdul Malik and Pamasa. Pamasa don't want to go to jail. So, of course, he comes here and he spontaneously or voluntarily gives evidence to save his own skin. That's the best you could say. But in this case, the Rowley administration paid the man $10 million and counting. And he still take them to court now for a further 94 thereabout million. Understand what we are dealing with here, people? It's a total travesty. It's conmen and criminals that we are dealing. That is criminal behavior. And when, of course, his name came up in the fake oil matter, not only did he get to the cabinet of the day, as is the case with Vincent Nelson, the cabinet itself must have had to approve that $10 million and counting, under that indemnity scenario, caused the cabinet, in the case of Petro, to close it down. And for good measure, and for absolute and total culpability, and for the irrefutable and pellucid intent of undermining and subverting the course of a criminal justice and criminal investigations. He put his personal lawyer, Michael Kwamina, to be chairman of the entity that came out of that fragmentation of Petrotrin, to superintend and to manage that particular entity where all legacy issues, including, of course, the fake oil matter, resides. It is clear. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand what the modus operandi is and what the intention is. So he puts his personal lawyer there to sanitize. And I say to Michael Kwamina, shame on you. Shame on you. And you should be taken, of course, to the law associations, disciplinary tribunal. And I want to tell you now, what a meteor impartial. Because you had a right to refuse that, because you must have known what that implication is. And you remain there up to now. So you are set in your ways. And therefore, to be accused of undermining a criminal investigation is valid, viable, and durable. You ever say? It is valid, credible, and durable because of your close proximity, your close prolixity to Dr. Rowley, and knowing Dr. Rowley as he is. No difference, of course, to know that he has put in the office of president a PNM activist. That's the same pattern. And he wants, of course, ultimately, people, what is going to happen here is that Trinidad and Tobago will become so undefined, will be so lost, because it is the promotion of mediocrity. That is what he is doing. The PNM doesn't have all the human resource. None of them brighter than me, for example. None of them, all of them put together. I say so without fear of contradiction, because there are sleeping giants in this country who would not want to come to the fore, but smarter than all of them. Collectively and independently, they could say what they want. When Heinz see me on the road, he walks on the other side of the road, you know. Understand that? Because I'll go up in his ears and give him some choice words as to what I think about him. There's nothing sacrosanct about them. It's a bunch of hustlers that came from nowhere and suddenly come on the scene and has taken over the reins and management of the country through, of course, subterfuge and, of course, interfering with the electoral process. And of course, we know both in terms of judicial reference and in terms of practical, logical, common sense deduction that have undermined the electoral process. In the case of 2015, they did in fact approach the chairman of the EBC then, and we don't know up to now what benefits to the PNM with that extra 1 hour that was given. Of course, the courts then said, well, you know, the elections tribunal then said, well, listen, there was no major hurt to the outcome of the election, so therefore let the status quo remain. But I am of a different view, of course, and I'm sure today you are of a different view, having regard to what we know of Dr. Rowley. It's nothing that he projects. You must see, if he tells you stand up, you know you have to run. If he tells you that he's going Barbados to play golf, bet your bottom dollar he's going there to have discussions with the Barbadians, having regard, of course, to the problems that has been created with that, of course, kidnapping scenario I said, waste time with that. And your common sense must tell you that the Barbadians will want to talk with him. Will want to talk with him because it is a furor in Barbados. That development, he will try to come to a press conference and allay fears and then tell us in no certain terms, insulting our intelligence. And of course, those media personnel, I just feel sorry for them sometimes because they could only respond to what he says. So if you say going Barbados for that, they are not, or they are intimidated, I should say, to of course say, well, you sure is that, and not of course discussions with the Barbadians authority, because they're afraid that he used his typical, what I consider to be bravado and his fault, his theatrics, in other words, when of course he engages in aggression, be the best form of defense. So he tries to insult and try of course to malign people's character and personality and situations. That is what he would do. But you should be insistent. You should continue to ask the same question and until of course he gets fed up and walk out. Because as I tell people, I wouldn't be surprised if he uses obscene language in public one day, because these kinds of fellas, these narcissistic proclivity individuals, when of course they are seen that everybody know who they are, they get vexed, even though they are doing evil. Something like Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi and even Hitler and all these fellas and them. He's showing typical tendency like that. So let's not waste time with that, people. We must be able to treat with it as we see it and not bury our heads in the sand like ostrich and leave our torsos or the rest of our body outside and pretending that you're hiding and that will never happen. No, Rowley is a fella will go to the ultimate. He will make some elaborate, complex excuses as we saw yesterday, as we saw on Sunday, telling us in non-certain terms and giving, of course, not subliminal, subtle impressions as he utilized the race card and race baiting, as we saw him do with respect, of course, to the last public meeting in Sangre Grande in the 2020 elections when he said he ain't no monkey and bananas and so on. Take a very innocuous scenario. The UNC, of course, God knows, trying to show that they are much more amenable and much more congenial and much more altruistic and much more sensitive and people-centered by putting a basket of food items that included bananas. And he took out the banana and then said that he ain't no monkey. That despicable individual. Yes, of course, I got to the signal, my friend. A pleasant good morning to you, my friend. I thought it was important to take this opportunity to just get some things off of my chest, because I think there's an imperative for the population to understand that Saturday is crucial. Is it Saturday? Yes, Saturday is crucial in terms of demonstrating. But if not, we must have a constant procession of incidents like this to demonstrate to this government that is not complacency, or it is not business as usual in Trinidad and Tobago against them. There's nothing sacrosanct about them. A bunch of opportunistic political parasites. Good morning, Andy.
The Ground Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Who art in Zion, all the way be thy name, thy kingdom come on earth.
The people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. I represent 29,000 electors in Devon Martin West. I don't know one of them.
Whoa, 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 whoa. A pleasant good morning to you, Lennox Smith. A pleasant good morning to you, all maxi taxi drivers, PH drivers, bus drivers, truckers. Good morning to each and every one of you. To all senior citizens, a pleasant good morning to you. To the physically challenged disabled people, a pleasant good morning to you. Not forgetting our sister Isle Tobago. Tobago only take on or take in a lot of the things that was said by Lennox Smith this morning. A pleasant good morning to you. Not forgetting about to all our loyal listeners, callers, well-wishers, supporters. Don't forget the critics. A pleasant good morning to you all, critics and haters. Good morning to you. Not going into it too far, must say a pleasant good morning to all patriots, Trinbagonians, people that will put their God and their family first before the race, politics and religion that is mashing up our country today. A pleasant good morning to each and every one of you. We're going to go to the line straight today. A lot was said. It was breakdown in every way by Lennox Smith there. The only part that I agree with him with the aspect of Fitzgerald Hines statement on the judiciary, that are the judiciary bad or getting on or calling him out back. I will only support the part that Fitzgerald Hines had no right to really disrespect the office, but I just have a different twist. I support Fitzgerald Hines with his statement he made towards the judiciary. I support that. He ain't lying. We must call a spade a spade. We know the judiciary in this country is in a mess. We know the judiciary in this country is one of the problems that we are having in the fight of crime. Fitzy and lie. Ralph Gonzalez tried the same thing too the other day, hitting the judiciary. And yes, we will be lying over. Well, you forget the girl with the fine up in Aripower. Where the talk was some land transfer bacchanal thing and this inside thing, how they kill, I forget she name it, had candlelight vigil for the girl. How much other issues that all of we know, that the big boys and them, the people that have money, have judges and magistrates locked. It's it's alleged, but that's the talk. And when it's time for the judiciary to come out and stand up for many things and ills that are going on, the only time them this come out is when them being under attack. The whole Nelson Gate matter, how the judiciary, the law association and all them come out and talk. Fitzy and lie. He just forget to say that he and the PNM have real pull within the judiciary too. Not only the criminal elements. So it's no soft thing where all are we just supporting. The judiciary needs to fix itself. The judiciary is led by none other than the Chief Magistrate, Ivor Archie. Look how much time the Law Association that call for he to step down due to circumstances. Let me be real. If a fish is rotten from the head, the Chief Justice, in my view, politically, does look like that rowdy people. So if Hines call out the judiciary and the judiciary, well, what apology? The amount of things the judiciary at this point in time need to apologize to the people of Trinidad and Tobago for, it's beyond. They can't don't stop. Just like the politicians, just like the religious leaders, just like the society and the whole, that's supposed to be some kind of patriots. So Trinidad and Tobago, it have kids that listening. Mr. Hines literally, yes, is wrong for making a blanket statement like that. But the blanket statement that was made, we all know the alleges that comes out of the judiciary and things that goes on. Come on now, man. There's a few judges I respect for. One of them is Frank C. Passaro, Frank Weber. That man different. I like he balance. The judiciary, if the judiciary all that good, how Archie still there? Ah, caramba, man. So let me open the lines. But again, for the children's sake, Mr. Hines as a big man, Mr. Hines as a national security minister, had no right to come out to talk that buffoon stupidness. But to me, every statement always has some truth behind it, and many of us could compare many allegations and incidents that took place that we and all by plainly say, but wait, the bias or something, but like the law is for some and the law is not for the rest, Every aspect of Trinidad and Tobago governance and independent officers are corrupt. Politically, they are corrupt. Corrupt don't necessarily means money-wise only, but corrupt also means the link, favoritism, willing to play a blind eye to various issues. Come on now, man. And the lines are open. 239-5120, 239-5120, 229-0251, 229-0251. Or give us some WhatsApp voice notes, or give us a call at 366-3053. 366-3053. We all must call a spade a spade. The judiciary in this country at this point in time is no Bella Roses. The police service at this point in time, under that police commissioner and the one before and all, is no Bella Roses. The media and all, that's supposed to be the fourth pillar of democracy, that had to be taken buff up and insult by a prime minister, and they're so stupid they can't tell you back nothing. Why they tell you what to get off? They had to pull me out. To hell with you. Me ain't going into no fight. People fighting me with nuclear bomb, chopping me up, and I must go with a powder puff, a feather. But when I go into them with a bone pistol. I go into them with whoever they coming at me at. Hey. War have been declared on us, and I will say, I like how Kamala Prasad says and the UNC operating now. Don't be no soft for nobody. And diplomacy with this government is out the door. It had no diplomacy with this government. The last example of there's no diplomacy, them don't know nothing about that. Them is wajangs, them is gangsters, them is thieves, them is haters. And with all of that together, them is killers. Literally, political killers. All through the COVID, how many people they kill? How many people the PNM kill? Them is killers. Political killers, in which I mean, nobody can get away. The judiciary needs to check itself before it wreck itself. There's a lot of allegations pending on the judiciary of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And if we have a right-thinking Chief Justice and President, not a PNM President activist, we will know that it needs to clean up. If we want to deal with crime, it had to clean up. We ain't hiding nobody dirty ways. And to you, the UNC, the time have come where diplomacy's out the door. This government is not a diplomatic government. This government don't care. This government is a bully. This government is treacherous and wicked. Stop dealing with them with feathers. It's war, political war, in which I am saying. Lines are open. Heinz do nothing wrong. That's in my opinion. What you do is talk the truth. The judiciary know what to check themselves, organize, and make changes accordingly for better Trinidad and Tobago, for better legal judicial system in our country. It isn't a mess. They don't have so much about it. So them don't play. The judiciary don't have to play like they're this big saint. They need to check themselves. Let's go to the lines. Morning caller, where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning?
Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm calling from Pity Valley. This country, like I said recently, they have permission to mash up the place. This country gone through. Andy, Tego Martin will soon be known as the capital for community centers. I never see one area with so many community centers. This man prefer to build community centers than he build schools, than he give the children laptop. But I know what community centers bring. That's going to breed a whole set of stories. But my next point is, Sinanan, the honest Indian, he says highways bring opportunities and prosperities. The very highways that they condemn under the UNC when UNC was building it. This Sinanan described the contractors as cartel-like contractors. These are the very contractors who are now building their highways, very boasting that they're bringing opportunities and prosperity to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I would wait and see. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Pitbull's opinion this morning, Fitzgerald Hines have nothing to apologize to the judiciary for. Fitzgerald Hines was talking the truth. And it come from a public official like he. Not because me don't like the PNM, or me don't like he, or he's a waste of time. He's the worst national security minister ever. But I don't think he was lying, and I know many of you know he wasn't lying too. We don't think that. Let's go to the lines. The lines must apology. The person must apologize right now is Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley for his damning statements against Kamala Prasad Bissessa. Fitzgerald Hines have nothing to apologize for based on what he said about the judiciary. It is what it is. Morning caller, where are you calling from?
Good morning, Andy. Ground Report, Lennox, Mikey, Koff, and your loyal listeners. Andy, let me tell you something. This man have a phobia for lying, Keith Rowley. And I'll tell you why I say that. He said, you know, just imagine this week we celebrated World Free Press Day, I think it was, yeah? But he had his media conference yesterday. And when the media was posing questions to him in relation to this matter with this Zealand thing, who they went and arrested in Barbados and whatnot, he said, I have stated my position and do not ask me any question about that because I would not be answering. Imagine you now celebrating World Press Day, yeah? And we get a promotion at six step up in World Press Freedom Day, you know? I wonder who giving us these ratings. Or they're lying to the population. Because you can't tell me that the press asking you a question and you telling them, I don't state my position already and I would not be taking any more questions. I would not be answering or whatnot. But Andy, I have a suspicion with this whole issue because I want Roger Gaspard to come out and talk, you know, my brother. Because they are only throwing you under the bus, you know. They're throwing you under the wheel. Because they say the decision by the police on them to charge this man with the dealer was because of the police and the director of public prosecution. You had to clear the air because Rowley said he ain't know nothing more that. The cabinet ain't know nothing more that. And they think they may only throw you under the bus, they're throwing you under the wheels of the bus to make sure that they crush you. I am asking the question, Andy. Is it that because this thing hit the fan, that the Barbados Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, because Wade Mark on the television in the Senate was showing a document, or I think it's a newspaper, where there were some concerns with relation to this situation. How could Trinidad police and them come to Barbados and arrest a citizen like that? And they were somewhat incensed about it, the Barbados police. And I am asking the question, is it that because this thing is such a thing now, that the Barbados Prime Minister and they could have summoned Keith Rowley, hey, we had to meet and talk this thing, because this thing is reaching too far. You understand what I'm saying? But to lie to the population and tell the population, because you say you're going weekend in Barbados for a holiday. But you're telling the population you're going there because you already had a booking to go to Barbados. And you talk about golf course and thing and whatnot and whatnot. We wash our blood here in this country with crime. But you're telling me you're going there to play golf and whatnot? But the point is that the Bajan government is smelling the rat. And they summon them because the Bajan police, as I say, raised some alarm about this issue. And Keith Rowley has gone there because of the fact that he was summoned by the Bajan Prime Minister to discuss this issue. Because you can't tell me that everything you talk about in this country with the DS money, all the thing, all they say is national security issue and everything you talk about is security concerns and whatnot. An issue of this magnitude is something of national issue. And don't tell me, but you and your cabinet and your minister of national security, nobody knew anything about it. Andy, this is outrageous lying to the population. And I am asking the question because I think we mark at the opposition is saying they're going to write the Bajan Prime Minister with respect to this matter. How did they sanction this thing? Because I can't see you telling me a private plane belonging to the army or whoever the Trinidad Army could leave Trinidad, go to Barbados, together with members of the police service and would arrest this man and bring him back. And the Security Council, the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, and everybody, nobody know nothing about it, Andy. As I tell you, the Prime Minister of Barbados, this is my estimation, must have summoned Keith Rowley to a meeting to discuss this matter, because everything you see happening in this country, the Rohan Tinanan and them and all of them, the acquisition of the land business, the Nelson Gate and the amount of things that oh God, my brother, the oldest beauty of Lennox outlined this morning, so much faux-pas and so much corruption and lying to the population that this PNM involved in, that they continue to just switch from one thing to another and to divert people's attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunapuna. Let's go. Let's take one or two quick calls again. Morning caller, where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning? Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Pleasant good morning to you. What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning? Morning caller, where are you calling from and what's your contribution on the Gong Report?
Calling from Arima.
Go ahead, Arima.
Listen to me. You're supposed to call that man Mr. Lion, you know. The head. You're going Barbados. You ain't going to really play golf. You're going to talk UNC. That's what you're going to do. African. That's all for the minute, you know. You really don't care nothing of this country. If Hines is the Minister of National Security and he has no plans. Oh, I mean, that's what happened. We're so stupid in this country, too. I don't think PNM will win a seat. Thank you.
Morning, caller, where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning?
Good morning. Andy calling from Diego Martin. Good morning to you, Smithy, Mighty K, and all the listeners. Two things. You remember that fella named Ken Valley? He say you run but you can't hide. Is that what the Prime Minister doing? You remember the tutor union, they say, reflect, rest and reflect. Is that he's doing? When the teachers and them abandon the child in school, and they say there's lack of leadership, our country is crying out for leadership, and we have a Prime Minister who is failing us. Going to play golf? Is that the disrespect that the moral and spiritual A.N.R. Robinson did when he appointed PNM in 2001? And we got nothing out of it. We got a Prime Minister by the name of Patrick Manning, who was there in governance when we had the Monarchs bust. He said he know Mr. Big, and he did nothing. And this is the end result of all of those moral and spiritual value decisions, you know. And people have to understand Mr. Big is still out there and he's getting bigger and bigger. And we have to understand. Yesterday I heard the caller identify a name, right? Mine are going to identify, but we have to understand where we're going with this country. Where were the policemen in that raid? What have they done to her? Did they discipline them, or are they in the hierarchy of the police service now? That is where we're going as a country. And that judgment, the judge was skating on the police, and nothing basically happened. And we have it again repeating itself with the Brent Thomas issue. We're skating thing on the police, and they're still in office. If you look at that judgment, there was the first one, you know, when the judge tell him, look, this is what is happening, give back the man his thing. You know, the AG and them, the AG office and them had 2 chances to file affidavit and statement, and they refused it to do it, so they misfiles again. So here we have an AG who memory loss, and that is where he behaves, and he's still in office. So where we are in a situation where everything has collapsed, and the only thing the Prime Minister hasn't done yet is to call an election. He's going to do damage control in Barbados, and I hope when they get a report in Barbados, the late in Barbados Parliament, as I don't really like to lay thing in Trinidad Parliament, let that investigation laid in thing, and then all hell break loose. Then the whole of the police service, half of them have to go and bring cabinet together, because there's another bombshell coming down with the Nelson Gate business. That's going to the Privy Council all the way, and there's more pressure for Trinidad taxpayers. I'll go and have a nice morning.
Morning, caller. Where you calling from? What's your contribution on the ground report this morning?
Good morning, everybody. Andy, good morning.
Good morning to
I
you.
hold no brief for the former commissioner. He is not my friend. But my experience and knowledge of what the laws say in Trinidad and Tobago, I have to agree with Mr. Griffith's comment and statement. Because you cannot have an international exercise without collaboration from heads. Where were the extradition orders? Which court? Is there an extradition agreement between Barbados and Trinidad? And we continue to see everything that is wrong taking place in this sweet, or what was a sweet nation. Whilst I agree with you in respect to your comment about the judiciary resigns, I still have to say that it is wrong to attack Mr. Hines. I'm sorry, the judiciary. And yes, the judiciary is a big problem in this country. The judiciary is a major problem in this country that we still have to learn to deal with, because everybody feels they're rich. Everybody feels there's a Lord and there's a God. We have the Chief Justice, we have senior magistrates, we have people who trying to make laws that does not apply. They're going awry of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, and what is happening is that we are accepting it. We are accepting it. And if we continue doing that, you know what's going to happen to us? Yes, we will become a totalitarian government. We will be forced to live under a dictatorship because it's creeping. So let people go ahead with the discussion and see how far they'll reach. Trinidad, Tobago. This is Friday. I pray God will have a decent weekend.
The Ground Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Good morning, caller. Where are you calling from? What's your contribution this morning?
Good morning, Andy. Good morning. I'm calling from Santa Cruz. Good morning to Lennox, Cuff, Mikey, and to everybody out there. When Roger called Rowley a lazy SOB, he was right. You want to tell me that Rowley, as head of National Security Council, was in the dark about what has happened to Brent Thomas? Who Rowley feel that he is fooling? Maybe he can fool the crayfish posse, but he can't fool anybody else, Andy. When he speaks, it's those people he's speaking to, not anybody else, not sensible, intelligent people out here. He's supposed to know everything that's going on. What happened? Too busy on the golf course, where we know he loves to golf, because that's all he's doing, golfing and lying. Nothing else in this country. No, you treated the citizens of this country with contempt. The country is awash with blood and tears, and you stand up there and tell people that you're going on a holiday, you're going to golf in Barbados because they have the best golf courses in the world. Is that your priority? That is what you wanted the job for? That is what you lied your way into office for, with Emailgate and everything else? Is this what we have to put up with? The man is treating us with scant courtesy. He don't care. He don't care about anybody in this country. But I have a strong feeling it's Mia Motley and them call him to find out what it is going on, because what was done there was wrong. And I want to tell Fitzgerald Hines, yes, you're right. You're right. The criminals and them have friends in high places. We saw what happened with A&V Drilling, and just so they get away with that. And they even got contracts for 10 years. And when Farris was told to appeal it, Farris never did anything about it. We see what it is going on in this country, and as Diego Martin said, rightly said, just so we are waiting on the DPP. You know, some people might want to raise flags for the DPP, but not me. What is he waiting for to deal with Farris and that Nelson Gate matter? Here, man, our toes are just over the precipice into hell, you know. I don't know how much more we are going to take with this corrupt government, because I don't care what anybody said, they are corrupt. You cannot tell me these things going on in this country. And the next thing I want to talk about, if anybody in the UNC sneeze, right away is 6 media headlines. It's headlines the whole week. Kamala and them want to give the people the call or whatever. But we heard a councillor from the PNM, from Diego Martin Regional Corporation, chopped a cousin of his over some landy matter or something, and not a word from the media. Not a single word. But Keith Rowley know all who are criminals. Fitzgerald Hines and them know all who are criminals. Right? But not a word from the media. That is why, Andy, I am praying and begging every day that this program remains on the air. And nothing happens to take this program off there, because here we can voice our opinions. We can what the media hiding, we can come out and talk about it, right? Where is that report with that councillor? It was all over social media. But if the media feel that we are going to hide and do like them, no, we are not going to do it. And before I leave, Andy, I want to say Victor Roberts got permission to do the march. I'm begging people, please come out and support this march. 600, and I'm not even counted from 2015, I counted from last year. 600 people were murdered. That's 600 families. So far, we have more murders than there's 200 plus. That's 200 families. How many home invasions, rape, robbery, everything. All those people are affected by crime. People come out. This is nothing political. This is for us. This is our country that we have to take back. Are you all going to sit down there and just play keyboard warriors or just talk, and all you wouldn't walk? No, everybody affected by crime now. We are scared to go out. After a certain hour, we want to be back home and lock up in our homes. Come out, people, and support this. This is because Keith Rowley definitely don't care, because he going to play golf. So let us see how many people going to care enough tomorrow and come out on the march. Andy, thanks a lot and have a good one.
Thank you, Miss Santa Cruz. Good morning, caller. Where are you calling from? What's your contribution to the Ground Report this morning?
Yeah, morning to the Ground Report, calling from the San Juan area. You hear me, Andy?
Loud and clear.
I'm Lennox Smith, Mikey K, and Cuff, and to everybody. Morning, Miss Santa Cruz. Andy, yesterday afternoon, I saw the Prime Minister storm the media area, and end up having a little conference yesterday. But I want the population, and Mr. Victor Roberts, I'll be there to give you that support, and people of Trinidad and Tobago. We have to make a move now. Right now, the PNM is making a move to come back to us for more mandates. The only solution to this problem in Trinidad and Tobago is to deplete the power of the PNM. You take local power from them, they will have manners, respect, behavior, and they'll be waiting for the final judgment, which is the general election. So don't let them fool you with where they come in and handing over community center, they're fixing road here, they're fixing road there, they're fixing road everywhere. We are thankful for taxpayers' money that is working for us in this dregs coming down in the local election. But whenever they come, they could kick, squeal, and bawl. You are voting against the PNM in the local election. You can't give them no more power, because if that man so close to coming back to the people and still operating with a high flight of arrogance, I want him to know arrogance and a democracy do work. It do work. It is only work for a period of time. And you are going to come out of power in this country. And I don't want you African people who want to play or want to mobilize in the corridor here when only the UNC in office. You see that Victor Roberts movements there? That is for everybody. Notice in voting move from his position since. That is what we are voting against. The one man standing up in one position too long and they set a recusal. Look, right now we are hearing too much things about Mr. Cummins. Why are we hearing so much things about this man and he still hold office in this country and a key position too? These are the things we are voting against. We are voting against the advisors of this administration. Remember, this administration came into office and was advised to put back VAT on 7,000 food items and skyrocketed the cost of living. That is what started off this. That is what started of this madness, and what they continued with, it was by stopping the laptop, by burying information into the homes that will have laptop, and some of the parents will not be able to be good on the laptop. The children will help us. They ban that immediately. That is the advice that Dr. Rowley operated on us. That is why we are here today. So when you're asking how did we get here, it was a plan. It was an orchestrated plan to take this country down, because here where is going on. The Indians must only pay tax, they must not govern. But I'm so happy to know that they use up all the bashing, all the criticism, they do all kind of thing and say all kind of thing. Now they're back against the wall, they're on the back foot, keep our constitution tight on them, and when the local election come, we deplete the power and let's leave them holding with central government with all local power. The government is really, really on the back foot. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Morning, caller. Where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the Ground Report this morning?
Morning, gentlemen. I'm calling from Portishead.
Go ahead, Portishead.
Yeah, but wasn't it the Prime Minister who said at one time that he has information that nobody else has, and that is why he takes the decision that he takes? So how one minute he would have information, and the next minute he doesn't know what's going on? I just don't understand it.
The man is a liar, boy. He's a
chronic
liar.
liar. He's a chronic liar. He just doesn't know what the truth is anymore, and he feels everybody's stupid. You know, another point, Andy, I need to disagree with you and most of the callers when they say that this government have no crime plan. I think they have a crime plan that benefits them. What they don't have is a plan to combat criminal activity. That's what they don't have. But they have a crime plan. You understand? They are just concerned about themselves. Crime doesn't affect them. When last you hear a government minister or family was involved in some kind of heinous criminal activity, or the victims of some activity? They don't care about anybody, and people need to understand that. The faster the population understand that, they would be able to know for themselves what they need to do. Good morning. Have a good day. Good weekend.
Yes, man. Thank you very much for your contribution. Next caller, morning caller. We're calling from. What's your contribution this morning here on the Ground Report?
Morning, Andy. Lennox and Mikey. Cough. This is the original Tagarigua.
The original Tagarigua, go ahead.
Why calling for? If you see people by the office who can get a pension and a little grant and all kind of thing, their food card. What are you doing that for? For them feel that money is them own alone or what? Look at the time of the month that people ain't get a little money. And all them people down there only telling you lies. That's not a lie. Oh yeah, well yeah, you will get it and come in and all them kind of things. People with cane and people put ban up old people. That's what I'm doing. Why are you doing poor people that? This clown who telling them, he didn't wind up on the girl wind up on he. Them feel their money is them on, you know. Alright, Andy, I just called to highlight that.
Thank you very much, the original Tagarigua. Good morning, caller. Where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the Ground Report this morning?
Yeah, good morning. I'm calling from the US. Now, we have to learn from history. Now, if you remember, when they formed the government in Trinidad and Tobago, the opposition tell the government that they wanted to form service commission to keep check and balance on the government. Well, they was reluctant to agree, but now we understand why they didn't want to agree on it, because they control every service commission and every institution in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, in 1981, being a member of the police service then, I could remember, well, there was an article written in the papers by people like Patrick Chukulingo and others at the time, reporting on the corruption on Trinidad and Tobago. And the special branch section had a section is to investigate white-collar crime or corruption by the government. And in 1981, I was working with a sergeant who was a former special branch officer who used to investigate corruption. So he saw my interest in reading files, and he showed me some files he had that he investigated corruption by the government then. But that was the triplicate he had. He said the duplicate was in special branch, and the original was sent to the DPP office. However, on his triplicate, he showed me that the files went to the then Prime Minister who had deceased. Because in 1981, the former Prime Minister already died. And that was the last minute on it. So now we know for a fact that files used to go from the DPP office to the Prime Minister's office. We even had an interview with a Prime Minister where he opened a room and showed he had files on corruption when they asked him about corruption. There was an interview with that also, right? So nothing is independent in Trinidad again. Everything is controlled by the government. So much so that they're saying that they have one UNC judge. If we have one UNC judge, it means the rest is PNM, right? And one of the things I want to tell you, when Patrick Chukulingo and Keith Shepard and these fellas in Mr. Wright article, they used to expose a man they call Mr. T in the police service. Well, Mr. T in the police service was the one who made the statement that politicians enriching themselves and becoming millionaires in 5 years. The TSTT police, the TNTEC police, and other Petrotrin police that was working for more money than even the commissioner of police at the time. So he tell the police and them, look, it's time all learn to enrich all yourself. And that caused police to have their own drug block, to rent out gun, to do all kind of different things. And it continued up to when I leave the police service, they was doing these things. You understand? And you notice that they say things like, if you see something, say something. People used to come to me and give me a report. I say, take it when the police them don't want to do nothing while working. I say, send it to another section that will deal with it. And I say, give the people a feedback as to what I do, and they say, see results. Right? The last one I did was just before I leave the service. there was a fella selling drugs by the market. When they showed me that, I went and I tell the ASP in charge of operation. The next day I pass in, I see a detective that I know very well stand up talking to the man. So I walk past them. When I return now, the drug pusher alone by himself, he called me. He said, stop interfering in the business before he has to do something about it. He know I live in and he know
so the man get to know you send the ASP.
Exactly, this is what I'm telling you. And the next thing I want to tell you, just say something. If you see something, say something. The police officers, them living in every district in Trinidad and Tobago, they're driving through in every area in Trinidad and Tobago. They see all the crime, they know all the pushers. How come they don't say nothing? But they want you to go and say something. You understand? And you see,
so
plenty people not.
So true.
Yeah, so you see, the police, them, is more criminal than the criminal, and they don't even trust their own colleagues. Look, in the police service, I was not one of them I think I transferred for exposing the corruption, you know.
You get transferred for exposing corruption in the service?
Yeah, in much time. And next thing they say, they do, people say, well, you know, you've seen crime and they can't do nothing. And I submit a report on things that happen. At times I submit a report and I get instruction to charge the wrong person, and I had to comply. But when the matter go to court, I never change my evidence, so they had to withdraw the case. And it happened with me, it happened with other officers that I know. So it don't happen once. They try to protect their own people. These things happening over and over, and the police service is so indisciplined that the commissioner come right down. The police service regulation, I will tell you how. The regulation is passed in Parliament and ascended to by the President. They tell you that a police officer has to work 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. They put in police to work excess of 8 hours a day and signing it, that is illegal. Rather than telling a police, well, look, I'm giving you a gun, rob the bank, therefore my car broken, I want some money. You understand? You're breaching the regulation. They're doing it and they're telling you, well, they can do it because they senior and the commissioner can give them direction. That is wrong. I tell you to go and murder somebody, give you a gun and go and murder somebody. One shot, one kill. And all this kind of thing. These things have to stop. They have to bring back discipline in the police service. And that can't happen until you stop the interference from the politicians and them. And I'm glad that Lennox Smith exposed some of the things that the Prime Minister have been doing and have done. And now that I tell you all this, all I will see what I'm talking about. Now, you have a Prime Minister sitting on there, right? He breached his own regulation on the protocol of the thing. No police are charging, but they want to charge people who come out smoking a cigarette by the gate. The vagrant who pull on his master to drink a beer rum, they charge him. But the commissioner, the Prime Minister sit down in the press corps and tell him he's social distance so he don't have to wear a mask. And nobody charge him. This is why these fellas can get away with everything. And I want to tell you, remember when I tell you James Philbert said that he couldn't investigate the church at Guanapo because he didn't have a virtual complainant. I wonder who was the virtual complainant to the police to investigate Anna Ramlogan and them fellas. Them. Doesn't matter. This have to come out and the police, them who investigate that have to say who give them the authority to investigate that. And that have to, they have to say whether they know or they didn't know that the thing. But from what I remember, when they charged them, they didn't have no statement from Vincent Nelson, so what evidence they used to charge him? Remember when the matter went in the court, they said they didn't get a statement yet from Vincent Nelson? So what evidence they used? I word them out. People need to get the real information in these things. It has too much of corruption in Trinidad and Tobago. And the last thing I want to tell you, the commissioner telling people that they must pray. So, going to execute people after they murder and them kind of thing, they tell them that to pray. So when they invade your home, kneel down and start to pray before they kill you. Like the message the commissioner said in. Instead that she get up and do she work and bring back discipline in the service, she sitting down there and playing politician too. And what all of them saying? That they can put police in everybody's house. The police, them living in the district, are not arresting and charging nobody for crime. They walk past and drive past people committing crime. all they're interested in is getting the paycheck at the end of the month. And a lot of them, to see how much drug block they can have, when bandits put on robbery, how much money they can get from them. That's all they're interested in. Thank you very much.
What do you mean when bandit put on robbery? Meaning if they apprehend the bandit and they catch them with the money, all
No,
go
they
back.
have a thing that going on.
All go back. They
have a
just
thing
take
that
some.
was
So, officer,
Okay,
what I'm
you
talking about
gotta-
is, listen, what
wait,
talking,
listen.
yeah, what I'm talking about is, so some of the other ways that is make money is if they make a big bus, whether it be drug bus and whatever, and we say is 10 kilos of cocaine or whatever, is only 3 go back in and 4 or 7 of the kilos may end up on their blocks, or they may sell it to a juggler to get money, or if they make a bus and they end up apprehending $1 million in TT money, 100,000 in US, whatever. In real, it maybe was about 2 million in TT, only one to put in, and the 100,000 US is about 200,000 US. Is those kind of ways that is do it?
Yeah, that is exactly what. Let me give you an example.
Mm.
I was in Garden Emergency Branch when we apprehend bank robbers in Central. We hold all the suspects with all the money. Nobody escaped. So we hand them over to the CID. Next day on the papers, we read that the CID Central hold these people, want to escape with an undisclosed amount of money. When we give them all the money. They know nothing about the money that we give them. What's going on? And the next thing, most of the time when them go in the court and they just tell you, when they raid their house, because the pushers don't bang their money, they have it in a safe, or in some cupboard or lockout thing, 20 police go and raid it. They just take the money, $100,000, they bring 10,000 as exhibit.
So
And if
100,000,
they get
10,000 exhibit, so them going with $90,000.
You think police driving all them big car and all them things. And then the next thing with it is that the same thing is say when we on roadblock we get the drugs and things. You hear one of them fellas take up 2 bags of weed and they put it on the block. You understand? Cocaine and put it on their block to sell. And they bring part of the drugs in the court. You understand? These things have been going on for years and still going on. You know what? Senior police have their own drug block and still have the drug block all the way out of the work and thing. You know what? People have them things still going on. Look at simple thing that people don't know in Trinidad. You're watching the salary, the prison officers them driving. I watch the vehicle they have. Right? Them just do the trade with the prisoners and then because in prison, when I was in the service, they have about $200,000 trade in the prison. Right? This fellow who did the assassinate recently, he was controlling the drugs in the prison. And that was Joel Chedi brother. And what happened is that they just used the Western Union to transfer the money. So the prison officers getting the payment through Western Union, so they can't trace it. You understand? Remember, if you go back in history, you remember that the government wanted to stop the Western Union money from going to China and Colombia and all that kind of thing. Because the Western Union money was being used for drugs and all kind of different things. That was a real online money. And up to now, the police never do no investigation to stop them kind of thing. And I'm sure it's still going on because I'm no longer there to see what's happening. Corruption is real in Trinidad, you know. It is real. And until people do something about it, unless the police act, it would not stop. They have to start to clean up. It's how they say charity begins at home. They have to clean up the police service first. You understand? Because the police is too indisciplined and too corrupt. It is more corrupt than the PNM. So the PNM corrupt the police service. They have the officers doing. Remember the Satisback tank? The water tank with the drugs? And you hear that the police vehicle was leaving the scene? They have a whole police who they say plan the drugs there. 3 police was in a vehicle that planned the drugs. Up to now, they never hold them police on them. And everybody know who the police them is who was in the service at the time. Just like how they know about who the Akil Chambers murderer. The police service know all these things and they just sitting on it. When I bring up them kind of thing in conversation when I was in the service, you know they used to tell me, why you don't want to investigate it? I used to tell the sergeant and the superintendent, I said, detail me to investigate. I had family and friends who was robbed and all kind of thing, and I wanted to investigate it. And they stopped me from doing it, and they wanted to discipline me for trying to interfere with it. This is how the service is. It's a disciplinary service where that is concerned. You have to comply with the instructions they get from your seniors. And if the seniors give you bogus instruction and bogus thing, you have to comply. And then complain. That's how it is go. You complain about a senior, it's going nowhere. You can't tell a senior doing you wrong. They have no discipline at all in the service. When last year the police complaint unit really take up any kind of serious case and thing, you have people in Trinidad and Tobago being convicted and the police had to pay money compensation for wrongfully charging people and things. How come them police get charged for wrongfully charging people who misbehave in public office? You want millions of dollars they had to pay people, hundreds of thousands here. The last one they had to pay 20 million for the case with the grocery owner, right? You're seeing it, you're hearing it, you're reading it in the papers. How come these people are not getting charged? The police are getting charged. The complaint unit don't know that this crime happened. But according to Philbert, nobody make a complaint about it, so they're not investigating. You understand what's going on? You have to make a complaint, so then they go investigate in the complaint unit. I make complaint to the complaint unit and I tell me that is not for them to investigate.
Aye. So you complain to the complaints unit as an officer and they tell you that too?
Yeah.
What the hell, boy? Service in a mess and
so what do you think I'm telling you? All these people who get promoted in the police service, like dashboard dog, yes men to the seniors. It doesn't matter that there's competent and good, brilliant police like what they had long time. The long time police was good police, you know. So today police, like dashboard dog, anything the senior tell them or the politician tell them, yes sir. Understand? And that is what's going on. And until the charity begins at home, the commissioner has to take responsibility for the ill discipline in the police service. And if she's not doing that, she's part of it. Has to start to clean up the police service.
Thank you very much, my brother. Let's go to the lines. Morning call away, calling from. What's your contribution on the Ground Report this morning?
Morning, I'm calling from Orlando, Raj. Hey, Andy, that officer you talked to, that guy is correct. I have a lot of friends and good family who works in the police, who also work in the army. A good buddy of mine living up here. He was in the army for almost 20 years and he had to get out, just quit. Because the guy, when he do the right thing, he always in trouble. So he quit and living in Orlando. Also, do you know who all the owners of the those credit union who ship money? Look at it. The owner of all of those is Sinanan. Rohan Sinanan own all those credit. There's those union that ship money. The union the guy talked about.
Ooh, Western Union.
The biggest. Yes, check it out. Rohan Sinanan own a lot of them. And people don't understand that. My brother-in-law went to Rohan Sinanan and he tried to sell in US dollars for $8. He had to pay Rohan Sinanan to get a US. I'm telling you, you guys, we live here, we know a lot, we see a lot. And I'm telling you, man, the guy, the biggest crook is Rohan Sinanan. I have people who know.
No, but again, we just could allege that, all right? We have no evidence of that, or this radio station, nor this program.
Very true, very true.
Right?
But okay, allege, but that's true. That's true. But if somebody go and check it out, I'm telling you, the guy own a lot of Western Union. The police officer is right, all the money is moving. No, he's moving Western Union, you can't find it. The guy knows what he's talking about. I have plenty of family who were sergeants of police and inspector kind of thing who works in the police. The guy, I mean, well, anyhow, Andy, have a wonderful day. We're talking that.
All right, Raj from Orlando.
More FM FM Limited, its owners and associates, accepts no responsibility for statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests. More FM Limited does not endorse any of the information provided during this commercially booked segment as the truth. That you have to judge for yourself. We, however, reserve the right to question statements made. But in this time of misinformation, government-controlled media, and corruption, it is sometimes hard to get the truth. But we must try. It is not our intention to discriminate or annoy anyone. We believe it is our constitutional right to free speech, to voice our opinion, and our duty to the population and country to expose the truth. More FM Limited takes no responsibility for the opinions of others.
Oh boy, oh boy. Morning caller. Where you calling from? What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning? Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah. The police officer that who just spoke a while ago, I know you have my number, but being a retired police officer too.
Yeah, use our police too.
Give him my right. Give him my number, and I would like to talk to him. Question or the statement I'm going to make here. From what he say, I am willing to sit down on a committee, or I'm willing to sit down and have a report on this corruption in TTPS. But if it is to be held, I don't want to do it in front of any personnel from Trinidad and Tobago because I don't trust none of them. Believe me, the TTPS is corrupted to the core. Really. Now, listen to me. It have a very, very...
Where the hell is this? So it's only police. So police actually now coming out and saying plain that the TTPS is totally corrupt.
It is totally corrupted.
How long you serve for? So how long you serve?
What the gentleman was saying is correct.
No, but you serve. How long you? But you served there for a while.
Oh yeah, I work in flying squad.
In the flying squad. Well, go ahead. Let's hear.
Yeah, I had an interview with Phil Alexander about I think last year for a whole hour on a live interview with him. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service need a big shake up, and it all starts with the Minister of National Security. Well, he said he ain't responsible for the police service. I don't know what he's responsible for. He may be responsible for I don't know, maybe for them fish around the islands. I don't know. Because if he can say that his responsibility is not the security of Trinidad and Tobago, I don't know who he protecting. Maybe the 1%. I don't know. I'm just asking. You understand? I would love to go in front of a committee, and I'll spill all my guts what I have to do, but not in front of no Trinidad and Tobago official. None whatsoever. Because you know why? They're too damn corrupted. It's simple as that. And what that officer was saying there is very, very true. Especially senior officers. And he also said that the officers of long ago, definitely, we were different from the officers now. Let me go back to one thing quick and fast. When Mr. Randolph Burrows, 1979, decided to form what you call the tactical unit in Trinidad and Tobago. I never said this, but I go say it now. When he decided to form that, on a Monday morning, 50 handpicked men from Trinidad and Tobago Police Service had to report to Port of Spain headquarters. When we report there, I thought I did something wrong. When me and my partner reported there to the headquarters, I say, hey, 50 men can't do something wrong, right? So we went, the commissioner secretary came out and he said, gentlemen, follow me. We went to the big conference hall and whatever. We sit down and everything. Mr. Burrows came out, the commissioner, and he said, good morning, gentlemen. And that's the first time I ever see a wireless phone, a cordless phone. It was big like a walkie-talkie. So anyway, so while we were there now, we said, gentlemen, look, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have no group or unit that is capable of containing a hijacked plane, any terrorist activities or anything like that. We have no group in Trinidad that can handle that. He said, gentlemen, I'm going to form the tactical unit in Trinidad and Tobago. It is a voluntary thing, That way, I'll never forget him. God bless him. He said, this is a voluntary thing. Who want to get up and go, get up and go. 2 gentlemen get up and go. because we learned after they had medical issues. I ain't going to go into details. After that, we went into training for 6 months with the Trinidad and Tobago Army at Camp Sentinel. For 6 months. We did, I ain't going to go into detail about the training, but we went 6 months in training. They also bring down Mr. Khalil Shah, who is the nephew of Rafiq Shah, from the Canadian Armed Forces, and a first lieutenant, to train us in guerrilla tactics warfare in Trinidad. Listen carefully, you know. I never say this in Bago State. After they had given the portfolio to Mr. Khalil Shah and also a corporal from the army they called Mr. Walcott. God bless you and all two. Very nice gentleman. We were trained there. After that, now we trained. Then the police, they pull in the 50 men into flying squad. So now we have the tactical unit into flying squad, and we used to patrol all over Trinidad and Tobago and do the needful thing and keep the place well relatively calm or whatever. And thing. Do you know, Andy, listen to me carefully, out of that 50 men, how much Indian they think it had? Well, I will tell you, it only had 3 Indian in that 50 men. So you see, it is, but now the service are being shut up. Now the service is being a little, multicultural. But, if you don't clean up the police service in Trinidad and Tobago, we could just be, spinning top in mud all the time. So again, I know I don't want to keep back the time. It happened, people want to call. So the officer that just spoke a while ago to you, if you could give him my number, I believe you have my number. I would really appreciate it. I would like to, discuss things with him. Have a blessed one, Trinidad and Tobago. And please, folks, be safe over there. Just be alert, alert, alert. I know we like to drink with a little tequila and with a little rum and thing. Please, folks, when you go home, then you drink now. Okay, you're in your house, even though you're still not safe in your house. But don't give nobody the opportunity all day that, you're drunk and you're not aware about your surroundings. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's just be aware. God bless. Have a safe one.
Thank you very much.
That's good advice. Good advice.
Good, Mikey, a pleasant good morning to you.
Morning to you, my brother Andy Pitbull Williams. Morning to you, Lennox Smith, and of course our technical director, Cuff. Morning to each and every one.
You hear no bad that police service, but me I know the police service was corrupt, but for police officers now to be openly confessing exactly what used to be going on while my God, so imagine what's going on now.
Well, I think that's one of the things that Mr. Griffith was trying to do, was to change the culture. Now, that's not something that can happen overnight, because the problem didn't occur or happen overnight. It's years and years of a culture that has developed. And I don't know, to get to the root core of it, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. But that's all I can say. But just be safe. Don't forget tomorrow, Aranguez, Savannah, for about 12 noon, 1 p.m., the march is going to leave Aranguez, Savannah, and head to Woodford Square in Port of Spain. But, as you know, Dr. Rowley's on a long weekend vacation in Barbados, Andy. So, those of you who could relax, take time out and relax, yeah.
But go ahead, Mikey. Did you observe Dr. Rowley to meet whatever was our press conference was that, whoever it go on lengthily, just about what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think as far as my thoughts on any of these things, it's pretty, but how do I put it, Andy? I think by now we know the playbook. We know the PNM playbook. We know what they're coming with. Their back is against the wall. And again, Dr. Rowley believes that he is not someone that can tell us the truth. He is going to bully or lie his way out of every situation, and that's it. And when he does tell the truth, people simply can't get over it, because it's not something that they would hear from him at all. It's rather rare. But when it is that he can't hold it back, he tells us the truth. He said, listen, who live, live, who die, die, read between the lines. But he believes that he can bully and lie himself out of any situation. And this was called what? This whole press conference thing was based on the recent judgment against the state involving firearms dealer Brent Thomas, where Justice Devendra Ramprasad ruled that Thomas, who was the focus of a police investigations in mid-2022, was unlawfully abducted. That means kidnapped. Unlawfully abducted last October when the Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados police officers detained him while he was in transit through Barbados. Barbados is a sovereign nation, just like Trinidad and Tobago. But here it is, we are getting a geopolitical black eye because of the incompetence of these individuals. Somebody has to answer, somebody knows the truth. And here it is now, somebody returns to the scene of where all of these things took place and is just simply saying, I bought a ticket, it was bought back so-and-so, and I am heading to Barbados for a long weekend. I plan to go on the golf course. I understand people jumping your wall. I understand people forcing their way into your homes. I understand that people are violating your family, beating them. We heard what took place in Victoria Gardens yesterday in the West. I am aware of all of that. I am aware of the fact that there have been more murders than days of the year so far. But listen, I need to use my 9-iron, of course, on the 8th hole. I have some golf to play and no telling what else I need to do in Barbados. And you just have to look at it for what it is. So you can open up the lines. We got some calls from the outside. I know the good folks who are making their way down tomorrow to either Arangway, Savannah, or Woodford Square. Come out, of course, with our comrade, our brother Victor Roberts, and use this platform to say, listen, simply and truly, we're not giving up. We're not going to lay down and play dead. So you can give them the numbers.
The numbers to call 239-5120. That's 239-5120. Or 229-2051, 229-2051, or 366-3053, 366-3053. The lines are open, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Morning caller.
Good morning, Andy, Lennox, Mikey, Cuff, Trinidad and Tobago. Uncle Mikey, the second caller who gave the interview with Mr. Andy Williams. I want to remind Mr. Andy Williams, if we forget, it had a police vehicle that was intercepted in South Oropouche in South Trinidad with some young officers with some things in transit. And they say it was evidence they transported back to Port of Spain. You remember, my driver was in Marabella police station, and I called them. You remember, your neighbor's son, right? And the partner called them and tell them no investigation, and it was written in a diary. Down in Diego Martin in the police station. So that's to support the evidence, what the interview was about. And that's only pointing out one or two little highlights, what is in real time and just the other day, right? And he is talking about the years coming through. And this is the problem we have. Because when a gentleman's trying to change the narrative, the head of national security don't want to talk because he have evidence and he can't talk to that person because he could be exposed. And the underworld in this country was always there. They always hear when they're talking. Boy, why does a man with an illegal gun can never be found? But you go and buy an illegal gun, and before you have your hand on the money and you turn your back, they take it from you. So they resell it. They hear all kind of bedtime story. When you sell it, they come back and they take it and they give them back it. So when tomorrow morning, please God, reach, it's supposed to have people from around West and the whole of Port of Spain full. But you see, the intimidation and the disrespect they show to the citizen, because a prime minister of a country, I even say a prime minister again, that is a dictator now, because he blatantly leave a country. Instead, I put the press conference to say that they have measures in place now and they're going to do exercise and get certain things done to get a hold on crime, and the commissioner of police will get a report on all what is needed to put security first. But he put the commissioner of police on she hot seat to say that she now supposed to do, she work for herself. So you see, I say, you say, and this one responsible, but the commissioner of police have authority and can act independent, and she's not acting independent. And this is the very toxic and the toxicity of the politicians in the police service. And it's plain to see. It was with McDonald Jacob just the other day. And he did the rightful thing. When the bypass him, he stay quiet and he go on quietly out of the public life. So the evidence is there. What more Trinidadians want and Tobagonians want to see that the way our lives is disrespectful, right? They're disrespecting us and they're not putting the things in place, and it's the politicians, right? Don't interfere with the police service. So when the regulated bodies and them is not doing the work, this is what we will get. So have a nice day, and everybody tomorrow morning, 12 o'clock, or Woodford Square.
Good morning, caller. Where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning?
Good morning, Ground Report. I call it from Port of Spain. I always find people talking about illegal gun. The problem is not the illegal gun. The problem is the ammunition. And I know a lot of people have a deafening silence in it, because we know what kind of on a lot, if not all, these crime scenes. So you could buy how much illegal gun, how much bullets you have. And if you're practicing, you're going to need ammunition. And somebody giving these guys, criminal elements, proper ammunition. Seen it from certain services members, crime scene. We need to stop it. We're not even getting out. You're seeing this type of shell found, and as usual, nobody's saying anything. But as a key problem we have now in Trinidad and Tobago, the gun problem. It's not the gun, the ammunition. Somebody giving these guys, I think it's $100 for a bullet. Somebody making a lot of money from the ammunition.
Thank you very much. Next caller, morning caller. Where are you calling from? What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning?
Good morning again, Andy. Good morning again, Mikey, and to everybody. Andy, when Mrs. Prasad Bissessar went to Brazil to see the football match, Rowley called her hot foot, right? The country in crisis, and she gone to see football. What was the crisis, Andy? People were having problems getting their passports. Don't we have an immigration officer? Isn't the Minister of National Security responsible for that? What that has to do with Kamala? But today, the country drowning in blood and tears, and he got to play golf. The man didn't go to see about anything important. You're going to play golf. And you know what is hurtful? These PNM crayfish and them, they make it excuses for Rowley leaving to go and play golf. They don't care, just like how he don't care about the country, the same way they don't care. Rowley does not know his priorities. He just wanted to go in there, build Bally's house and play golf and lie. That is all his intentions were. He had no intentions of fixing this country that he said Kamala and them mess up. From the time he came in, he started shutting down everything. He started with Caroni Greens. Then he went and he took away the money from the sugar cane workers and them. And that is where we started going downhill with everything. This man blighted this country. And I will say it again. Today we are drowning in blood and tears, and Rowley decided a golf game is more important than what it is going on here. So when all you want to point fingers at Kamala, look at the ones pointed back at all you. Thanks a lot, Andy.
Thank you very much. Morning caller. Where you calling from?
Andy, morning to you, my body. I call him after Karigo. Andy, the first commissioner, as far as I remember, this country had was a white Barbadian by the name of Slater. And when he started to investigate corruption in the PNF, Williams sent him back to Barbados. Since then, this whole country corrupt. The whole police force corrupt since then. As far as Rowley going Barbados during this time, me have no problem with that. He ain't no asset to this country. The further he distances himself from this country, the better off for we. This Timbuktu or the North Pole be safer because what he could do, he's no asset to the country. The next thing I want to talk about, the act that Kamala want to repeal, but the humanization thing and bad in the house, all of them against it. I for it. I do what Johnny Abraham said, what Kamala say. I protected myself. I ain't want to be under the ground and rock up, just playing over me. Holy criminals, It's as simple as that. So I listen to Johnny, I listen to Kamala. And I will advise everybody, forget Keith Scotland. That's stupidness when he's talking. They're just against it because it's Kamala bringing it up. Thank you, Mikey, very much this morning, Andy. Have one.
Thank you very much.
All
Oh
right.
boy.
Thank you, caller.
All lines open. Oh boy. Morning caller. Where you calling from? What's your contribution this morning?
Morning, Andy. There's already Andy.
Go ahead, officer.
You see, everything that people touch on this morning, it comes back down to one thing if you put in context, right? White collar crime. And the Minister of National Security, he said the judicial system is in a, well, he said it, I put it in this way, he said it is a mess. The police service is corrupt, okay? Enough police. Yesterday when I spoke, a CID man called in, and he support that. The old man from Tobago called in, and he support that. Today the police officer who's speaking out now, they're speaking out regards to this. Let me tell you something. If we fix the police service, just say let me speak hypothetically. If we fix the police service and the judicial system is a mess, it will reach nowhere in this country. You understand what I'm saying? So when we are, it have two ways to address crime. It's either from the head come down or from the bottom go up. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the police system is only corrupt because when you join the police service, you leave the barracks thinking you come out here to fight crime. Only they realize you have to cool yourself and join the bandwagon. Because at the end of the day, like the officers who talk on, you'll either be transferred or you'll either be dismissed or something. And I was talking about that yesterday with you. You understand?
Yes.
You see, on your program, we can't call in and say certain things to jeopardize your program. You understand? But we know and we understand what is going on in this country. And you're right when you say that this man, that Hines, the only thing about it is that he came out and identified with it. And he put his foot in his mouth as a Minister of National Security. Because really and truly, like Lennox is saying, you're not really supposed to make a statement like that in the public. You understand? And he's behaving like this one, Rowley. He feels he can say whatever he wants because he's protected. Now remember, these people, they already have almost everything under the grip, you know. Imagine the DPP office, and people don't understand this. So if the DPP office have a parallel DPP office, that is a serious thing in this country. Because when a police make a case, you don't know which office it's going to, depends on who you lock up. And if you lock up Mr. Big, as we just call him, or Mr. T, it will go to this DPP office, and it won't go nowhere. Look at the Marlene case. Look at this lady here in Parliament. They call her again from the Boland one. I don't want to call her no Boland one.
Camille.
But I forget. Yeah. All these cases, we're going back as far back we want in this country. Look at the police complaint authority. The amount of complaints against police, and not a word they hear about these things. You're not hearing all the ones sit down there, like West and this lawyer lady, what's she name? She was sitting down there first. She said she was gonna move all stone. And you know what she did? She keep herself quiet, collect her fat salary, and come out of the office quick. So the police service, yes, and it's not all the police that we can't pay them abroad, Russia. Right now with the people, because look what's going on. They hired retirees who's supposed to give them advice in this country, and they pay them big money as consultants. And what are they doing? They're just sitting on the pension and this fat salary. So yes, the police service is corrupt. The commissioner of police, let me tell you something, we're not supposed to give them no break, you know. This woman is in office for years. She talking about keepers, and she want to keep a beauty pageant. You understand? So what we talking about in this country, if we not fighting white collar crime, it will go down to the bottom. And if the small on the bottom thing, he can get away. The man will talk about ammunition just now. Ammunition is not the problem in this crime. Because you can get ammunition anyway. That's not the problem. I agree that ammunition killing people. But the corruption, the white collar crime is what bringing our country down. Look, Rowley. All of a sudden, Rowley want to go to Tobago. I mean, Barbados.
Barbados, yeah.
And like Lennox said, you know what Lennox said? You're making that as an excuse to go to do some public
PRO.
Damage control.
Yeah, damage control. PR.
Yeah, damage control. And you laughing in this country and see you going in and play golf with the country washing blood? And you going on a vacation? Come on, people. It's white collar crime killing this country. The big boys are not feasting on us. And unless we do something about it, it will not stop.
So you are saying that in order for all problems to start to have solutions, they must tackle the big boys and them, the white collar crimes, and must show that justice is served.
Yes. Yes, Andy. Yes. Because you know why? When we talking on your program, we gotta say that ledge, right? How a container could come in with guns or drugs, and then all of a sudden they put it on the media, look, we get guns and drugs, and they didn't do a trace on it to see who it's going to lock up who it's going to. Why did they do no trace? Look at America. America lock up two people who trafficking drug arms to Trinidad. Imagine them lock up people who trafficking arms in Trinidad, and Trinidad ain't locking up nobody who have legal arms and ammunition in this country.
But let me ask you something, officer. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Now, when these things are shipped, when these things are shipped, and I think we have at least some basic fundamental idea that even if you're mailing a letter, you just can't put the contents in an envelope and just throw it in a mailbox or drop it off by the the post office. You have to address who you're sending it to. So these things don't just come. These things just don't come to Casper the Ghost or somebody out of thin air.
Exactly.
We had an incident with US hidden in plywood that came down in a container. Who was that addressed to? And there's no way you can't tell us you can't trace it, because we have an attorney general who was there, Mr. Tight Pants, who said that they are working with international bodies. And when he means international bodies, I guess he means the CIA, MI5, all of these international security bodies, just to get information. Now, all you need to do is to send that to Secret Service, or simply send the numbers to the U.S. Treasury Department, and they can tell you where that money came from. They can tell you exactly where that money came, how it was obtained, who has that. They can tell you all of that. Those same international agencies.
Yes. Listen, we was gathering that money. That money was done in custom, right? They beef up customs. They beef up and they had we gather that money down there. That same money is speaking about. You understand? And what become of that money now? Just what you say, Mikey K.
What become of the person that the whole shipping label was made out to?
Right.
What become of the person that it was shipped to?
Look, Dulce, we rate Dulce the property. What become of the money we find in Dulce the property and all the information we get of it? What become of it? You know what they do? They hang him quick. You understand what I'm telling you? So it's the police, I will admit the police is corrupt. I will not say no. But I'm saying that the white collar crime is what is a menace in this country. And we will not stop it unless we stop these people and them. Listen, I said it already on the program more than once, right? All the drug blocks in Trinidad and Tobago, in every station district, they know the drug block on them, right? How come you run another man on the street with a joint or a dust of cocaine and making a case against him? And we not the supplier to the drug block or the drug block, we're not shutting them down. I was talking that previously at the task force the task force unit. At the end of the day, you know what he said? He tried to save his place. I said, "Sir, let me take up the kid gloves there." You know what he said to me? He said, "Listen, something, Ulrich. We can't do it that way. We gotta get intelligent." And while we say, you know who all is coming on, a man is saying all the criminal is. What information we gotta gather in this country again? Gary Gifford was sitting down there. Gary Gifford supposed as a commissioner of police. You supposed to know directly or indirectly who people should be getting locked up, black as white. Yeah, you cannot say you locking up cockroach in this country. Eh? You're disrespectful. And then you want to come and say you want to be commissioner of police or you want to be prime minister. What you really want to be? You just want to get your only church, you know what? Come on, man, people. We're not stupid. Rowdy said the people in this country are stupid. I can quote him. I am saying it. I am not stupid. If the other people want to consider themselves stupid, I am not stupid. Gary Gifford was there. He's not saying that. You say now that you want to go back in office. You have so much information that can bring on the government. What the hell are you doing with that? What you doing with it? You understand what I'm saying? Okay, Andy. Thank you. And have a blessed day because this can go on whole day.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but Andy,
go ahead.
Yeah, what PR work? What PR could Dr. Rowdy do there? This is a legal matter. First of all, the Extradition, Commonwealth and Foreign Territories Act was breached. There's no PR that can be done there. There's no spin in this. A man's constitutional rights were breached. The Extradition, Commonwealth and Foreign Territories Act was breached. The Commissioner of Police in Barbados, Richard Boyce, is saying that the status of a report that the Attorney General Dale Marshall has asked him to produce following accusations that Barbadian police abducted a Trinidadian arms dealer. The top cop declined to say whether the report had been completed or if investigations were ongoing into the claims made last week by High Court Justice Devendra Rampersad here in Trinidad and Tobago. The report has to go to the Attorney General first. This is what the Commissioner in Barbados is stating. Justice Rampersad accused Bajan lawmen, that's what went on there, accused Bajan lawmen of being involved in the international abduction, again, international kidnapping of the 61-year-old owner of Specialist Shooters Training Center, an authorized importer and dealer of firearms and ammunition. And according to the judge, Thomas, who was in Barbados on October 5th, 2022, in transit to Miami, where he was scheduled to see his cardiologist, was forcibly taken from forcefully taken. Understand that? That means against his will, kicking and screaming, what going on? What I'm told you, let me go. Hey! He was taken from his hotel room by members of the Barbados Police Service. He said the Trinidadian was kept in a cage in the back of a police van at a police station without water, food, or the opportunity for a phone call before being moved to another police station and eventually taken to the Grantley Adams International Airport, where he was met by members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and flown back to the Twin Island Republic. Understand that in the 97-page ruling, Justice Rampersad found that Barbados failed to follow the rule of law and due process when it did not comply with the Extradition, Commonwealth and Foreign Territories Act. That was not the process followed at all. Instead, it was undoubtedly an inescapable inference that the Barbados Police Service detained Thomas upon the request of the TTPS. So the Police Complaints Authority in Trinidad has opened an investigation into Justice Rampersad's findings. But the counterpart authority in Barbados has not received any requests to probe any complaints against law enforcement officers here in this matter. So, well, now, hopefully he's going to wake up everything. Understand what's going on here?
Yeah.
Thomas was charged with illegal possession of weapons, including grenades and rifles, on his return to Trinidad from Barbados. But Justice Rampersad found that the matter involved serious breaches of his constitutional rights to the extent that all criminal charges against him were stayed. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. If the process was unlawful, then how can you justify the charges? It's that simple. If the entire process was unlawful, how then can you justify bringing charges against the individual? And that's what the judge is saying. So where you going, what PR you could go and do, what you could go and spin there? A man's constitutional rights? The fact that the political hand, that same political hand that we talk about every day, that political hand, even the silhouette of that political hand is in everything. You know how it plays out here in every so-called independent office is the interference of that political hand. That political hand, while it's in office, it's interfering in credit unions. It's that same hand we're talking about. Now it's stretched all the way to Barbados. I'm not telling how far this political hand is going to play out to the demise of this country. When a man can tell you he understands people jumping your wall, but he justified that by saying, hey, at the end of the day, all of this that has taken place, and he wants to make it clear that we are guilty because the problem of criminality and violence was not dealt with sufficiently in a much earlier time frame. In other words, Rowley said, look, we missed the train. Look, that ship done about to sink. The most I could do right now is take a vacation and go play some golf. I can't really do nothing for it. I really give up and I surrender. I mean, I invite people from across the region to come and talk. That symposium was just a talk shop who had doubles, who had roti, who make TikTok video about eating pilau. But that is not helping the fact that we have more murders, more than days of the year already. So he has basically said, hey, again, who live, live, and who die, die. I have to go and play golf. And this ticket was booked. Understand something here. All that we are going through as a nation is not looked upon as a priority. That even a ticket that was, let me say, booked last year, that in itself should be relevant. It doesn't matter when you book the ticket. What matters is the fact that you are abandoning the job. You are abandoning the people of this country. That is what matters. We don't care where you buy the ticket. You yourself must have some sense of conscience to say, listen, I need to be here. This country needs some kind of leadership. I don't like what's going on. I have a cabinet minister with this thing just splashed across the front page with credit union and loan. I have people, of course, jumping walls. I have this one talking, that one talking. And you believe that that would have been the perfect time to go out there on the greens and just grab your caddy and enjoy yourself? Never.
Them different
Man
boys.
is right. Yeah, but he's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
Because we allowing it.
Because there you go, Andy.
If we stupid, we
There you
stupid.
go, Andy. But the little child that tell mommy or daddy something, that child disrespectful. Be that child. I tell you for no, I don't want to kind of be hearing from you, papa. You living in a house with a woman and you feel that your ego was bruised, she emasculates you and you say it's disrespect. Hey, I don't want to kind of talk in my house, girl. Hey, papa. You understand? You live with a man and you find a man, of course, ain't living up to your needs or whatever, so a woman can go out in the road and just disrespect him, and we get vexed for all that level of disrespect. Cannon
Family
didn't go to
members and
trigger
all.
funeral.
Family members and
Yeah.
all. Don't take disrespect
Andy,
from each other.
That's right. Cannon, but even gangsters, Cannon didn't go trigger funeral. That's a disrespect, Dan. That's a disrespect. You know, Cannon gone. But here you have a man doing you this every single day for the last 7+ years. So much disrespect that you yourself can't even keep up with it. What you know? So he's right. This didn't happen overnight. You condone it. You endorsed it. And most importantly, you encourage it. Where you think that's happening, you encourage bad habits. It don't get better. Andy boy, tomorrow we had to go out. We had to go out. Who's on the outside tomorrow?
Morning,
take some
caller.
calls there, boy.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you.
Mighty K, how you doing?
Not too well, but how are you going, madam? Good to hear your voice.
Hey, they Miss Lorna.
Miss Lorna. Miss Lorna, she sung young, and she is. She sung young, one young girl voice. Go ahead, Miss Lorna, go ahead.
Mighty K, I don't know if you could
Yes,
help me. Lahakita and I have a special session to go to. So I want to find out if I could get a phone number or address for the dance class later, please.
All for Lennox Smith. Hi, my Mikey niece, yes. Yesterday.
I think you could help me, Mighty K. I'll see you soon, okay?
Yes.
And I'll get that either a number or address, please, for the dance class.
Yeah, we'll send it there. It's Spargo's, I think it's Spargo's is the name of the place.
Wow, I forget where Lennox is go, but he really does
Right there,
start off
Spargo's at the
normal,
back
you know.
there.
He does
Whole
it-
night, you know.
Yeah, he's-
Everybody had a way to release the stress, yes? Whole night you dancing like John Travolta from Saturday Night Live. Whole night is merengue, cha-cha. This man is, man, this man is getting a whole global dance class, you know. He go urban, he spin on his back thing. Who's on the outside?
So what people feeling is kicks we get, you know. Lennox be normal and then all of a sudden a normal dance and a break dance and thing, you know, kinda.
Yeah.
You want to know what kind of thing?
Strobing,
Yeah.
It's robot. Sometimes the robot battery like it run dead and he's still going. Yes, sir, but what going on here? The man there, the AC on high in the dance place, and he's sweating like a runaway slave, just dancing whole night. Everybody have some way that they release stress and what have you. And that's just the way he does it. The guy just loves to cut the rug. Who's on the outside?
Boy, morning caller, where you calling from? What's your contribution on the Gong Report this morning?
Morning, gentlemen. Calling from the Barakpo. How are you going?
Yes, yes.
Gentlemen, this place, you see this, where we are today, it don't reach too far. And you see all this talk, people just want to call and talk and talk and talk. It ain't making sense anymore. This is time for Plan B. And Plan B has to be action, not talk. Why I'm saying this? Now, after all this situation with these high-power rifles and things come out in the public domain, the country have a better understanding now who entitled to bring in high-power rifle, who are the ones that authorized to use high-power rifle, and it goes with a certain jurisdiction in the level of the rank that you hold when you could be able to use these high-power rifle. Now, in the past, we have seen 2 young children using these high-powered rifle and practicing on a range. And now, recently, Rowley come and he make a statement yesterday that he have reasonable information to link the bomb threats to the UNC. I don't know what information he got and how he have that reasonable judgment to make that. But can I now say that I have reasonable information to link all these high-power killing in this country to those two individuals that they could be some Gestapo organization in this country that was training to use these kind of weapons in the public domain, and they are supplying it to people because no investigation wasn't done on this. We didn't get a report on how these children was authorized, who authorized it, how they come into using these high-powered rifles. So when we sit back and we hear this lying man talk and make this kind of pronouncement about other people, and he cannot look within himself, we in this country now have to come to the conclusion we cannot wait 2 more years for this. Because if it is the police service in this country, without the authorization of the head of the National Security Council and the Minister of National Security, could leave Trinidad and Tobago, use the national security equipment and all the clearance that they have to enter a next sovereign state and put on this operation, then what left for the police service to do? Walk in your house and make children with your wife or do whatever they want? This thing has gone too far and it has to stop, and we can't wait 2 more years for it. Gentlemen, have a good morning and enjoy the rest of your weekend, man. Take care.
Thank you very much. Oh boy. Last caller, morning caller. Where you calling from? What's your contribution to the Ground Report this morning?
Good morning, Ground Report. Tuna here for that.
You only have a minute and 20 seconds. It's
right.
Today's Friday, and Howie T and Antics are waiting, and they will cut me. So you only have a minute exact.
Right. Let me think. You know, all you won't believe it. We have the best secret service in this country, in the world, you know. Because every blast sitting is being kept a secret by this government. I want to ask the question whether when they went there in Barbados and arrested the man, whether they read a warrant for his arrest. We ain't hearing nothing about this thing and what charges and what that he's been arrested for. But I want to ask the question, what happened is the DPP and the Attorney General's office, two are the most important offices where crime is concerned. Are they not on speaking terms? Because I can't understand how it is that we're not hearing what input the DPP or the Attorney General had in this issue with the arrest of Mr. Smith in Barbados. Because I would want to believe that we would have heard some comment coming out from the DPP's office or the Attorney General's office. Is it that the Attorney General is prepared to just sit down and do the dirty work for the government, let the police and them do it, and going unanswered? Because as I say, when you have a Prime Minister who's the head of the Security Council, could tell the media association, hey, here what's happening, don't ask me no question about that.
Thank you very much. Good note to stop on. Yeah, what's happening? Don't ask me no question about that. Mikey, go ahead, wrap us up.
Hey, coming up next, two of the most versatile men on radio, the supermen of the airwaves. My brother Antics. He's come a long way from stretching helmets in the army with that head to being one of the most versatile players right now. And the man himself, Two Finger Howie T. With 2 fingers alone, this man lights up the world. They're up next right here on More 104.7 FM. Don't shift your dial. You could flip, dip, skip, and jump, but don't you move that dial. And tomorrow, from 12 noon, Aranguez Savannah, we are ready. And then we move out, take our march down to the Eastern Main Road into Port of Spain and at Woodford Square. And don't forget the public meeting, dynamic speakers, and of course, the man giving the main address tomorrow would be our comrade, Victor Roberts. So come out in your numbers. Andy, have a good one, folks. Be safe. If come Monday that you're still alive, I know you're going to lock on. And that's how it is. You have to look at it for what it really is. Every day that you get to wake up the day after, you got to be thankful. You have to be thankful. So take care. I didn't do roll call, but come Monday, I think we should call out some of our good friends once again, because we know you're there, we know you're listening, and we want to, of course, acknowledge you. So, guys, take it right there in studio. We're out of here. Again, be safe. No corridor transformation. This evening is dance class. Dice Pagos, I believe, somewhere on Prince Street. If you want to check him out, people have come over the world and have taken documentary footage. The amazing dancer himself, Lennox Smith. We are out of here.
The Ground Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Disclaimer. More FM Limited, its owners and associates, accepts no responsibility for statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests. More FM Limited does not endorse any of the information provided during this commercially booked segment as the truth. That you have to judge for yourself. We, however, reserve the right to question statements made. But in this time of misinformation, government-controlled media and corruption, it is sometimes hard to get the truth. But we must try. It is not our intention to discriminate or annoy anyone. We believe it is our constitutional right to free speech, to voice our opinion, and our duty to the population and country to expose the truth. More FM Limited takes no responsibility for the opinions of others.
Mom, you will always be by my side with the unconditional love that you provide.
Brothers Promotions presents Kisses